Welcome to the special coverage here on the Weather Channel as we track Tropical Storm Ian. We have the new advisory in from the National Hurricane Center. So let's go right to what is going on as Ian is strengthening and is expected to strengthen very rapidly, and in the latest Hurricane Center forecast, even more rapidly than in their previous advisory. So max winds still at 45 miles an hour. So don't let the fact that it isn't rapidly intensifying yet fool you into thinking that that's not going to happen. This is just a matter of time. It certainly is more organized than it was yesterday. Still moving west. You know, it's been losing a little latitude at times, still dealing with a little bit of wind shear, but this will start to make its northwestward turn. Now, we still have the hurricane warning, tropical storm watch up for the Caymans. Jamaica's discontinued their tropical storm watch, but otherwise we got the Caymans on alert. Now, here's a close-in view. Here's Jamaica up in here. They could still get some locally heavy rain, floods, and mudslides, by the way. But look at the thunderstorms getting more concentrated. You don't see the exposed swirl like you used to yesterday. The wind shear is weakening. Look at that outflow really starting to take shape. So this is starting to have that look of a tropical storm on its way to becoming a hurricane. Fiona's out of here, so we don't have that northerly shear from Fiona's outflow anymore. And now the upper level outflow is starting to take shape, and you are moving into an area that not only has very weak wind shear, but has extremely warm waters the entire rest of the way that it is over the northwestern Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Warmer waters than usual, and we're about to have the storm go over the part of the northwestern Caribbean that has that really deep warm water. It's some of the deepest, warmest water anywhere in the Atlantic Basin, and there's a whole lot of it. And that is why the rapid intensification is such a high confidence event that we're going to see. So let's take a look at the new track and intensity forecast. Now, it's shifted a little bit to the left, but don't let that make you think that it's going to keep shifting that way and that there isn't still a lot of uncertainty both left and right of the center of the track and within and in some ways outside of the cone. But here is one big take home with a new advisory, is that the intensification is even more rapid, getting all the way up to 125 miles an hour before it even crosses western Cuba. Obviously very concerned about what could happen in western Cuba there. Then coming into the Gulf of Mexico on this latest forecast as a Category 4 hurricane. Obviously, it could be a little stronger or weaker than exactly what is shown here, but that is a very, very concerning forecast. But we'll get into this more deeply, but don't take that center of the cone, as gospel, because we still have Euro ensembles that go all the way from the southern tip of Florida to the central Gulf of Mexico coast, and a lot of you in the southeastern U.S. could eventually be impacted. So, Chris, the intensification trend is something that we are again expecting. Hurricane Center's getting even more robust with that intensification over that prime real estate of the Northwest Caribbean.
And it's that prime real estate that we're going to talk about right now. Okay, so we're going to start off with a look at what is still, for now, a tropical storm Ian. Some of the factors here that go into it. First, you notice where it is. It's in the Caribbean, and the system is going to continue as it is now to the west, northwest. More of a northwesterly turn is expected with this, and staying over water. And if that remains the case, it is expected to get stronger. One of the big reasons for that, of course, the very warm waters. It's essentially the fuel. Not just is the surface warm, but there's a deep layer. So when winds go across water, it churns up the water. And you go down, in depth, it gets a lot colder. So the wind oftentimes will bring cooler air up, or cooler water, up to the surface, and that can kind of help temper things a little bit. But you're replacing warm water with warm water, so that you're kind of going nonstop with a full tank, if you will. And then as we look at all the moisture around the system, of course, moisture is needed for the clouds and for the thunderstorms, for the storm itself to grow and to start to work as a unit. And then when you get the cluster of storms and the whole thing spinning, the whole thing working here, the surrounding environment plays a big role as well. Not only, which we're going to talk about, plays a role in where it goes, but also the fact that it helps the storm get rid of the air. So the storm doesn't kind of choke on itself, if you will. The air evacuates. And when we show you the storm, once it gets to more of a mature stage, you'll see the thin, wispy clouds coming out of the top of the storm. And notice with these tracks, with these forecasts right here, staying over that very warm and that deep warm water for quite some time. And this is what you don't like to see. There's tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday anywhere from during the day, Monday to Wednesday. Again, the forecasts are all subject to change, but you don't want to see most of these going up to Category 4, even up to Category 5 hurricane by early next week. So the potential is absolutely there for this to be a very, very strong storm. And in the Atlantic Basin, we also know that rapid intensification, so the storm getting very strong very quickly, is most likely to occur in this month. So that's another check on the check box there. And also it's most likely the Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico, and that's where it could be going here. Both, it's in the Caribbean, it could end up in the Gulf as well. And we see the rapid intensification become some of the hot spots for that, Dr. Knabb. And Dr. Knabb, when you look at the forecast and you see all the different models, is there anything that you're saying or seeing that says that maybe is there a chance this could go into Central America? Is that even a possibility?
I just don't see it because there's such a big trough coming across the U.S.-Canadian border that's going to open up a weakness in that ridge for it to go north. I just don't see how we avoid that. And with all the models screaming for that to happen, and there's nothing, Chris, that's going to weaken it. Some of these weaker systems, tropical waves, depressions, weak storms, can go with the lower level flow. But the deeper and more organized this gets, the more it is going to be steered by the deeper layer flow. So right now, we have, sorry, that's not what I want, there's where I want to put the H. We have a big high pressure off to the north. That's what's steering it west, but that high is going to move along and it's going to get out of the way. So if you back out, this big troughing here, it's coming over the Great Lakes, that is going to erode the ridge to the north, and that is what's going to draw it into the northwestern Caribbean Sea and then pull it northward. So the timing of Ian with that system going over the Great Lakes is just not good for going over the ripe, strengthening ocean and atmospheric environment for rapid intensification and then bringing it northward after that. Now let's look at the models, and there is in the models over the system over the Great Lakes, and so we got some narrow ridging off to the north right now that's sending it westward, but that trough deepens over the next couple of days, and there's our Bermuda High, and we've got the opening, and that is the door, unfortunately, to bring it northward. And then, oh my gosh, look at that outflow channel off to the north that will even more foster strengthening, not just weak wind shear, but tremendous outflow in there. And then the presence of this trough, is that going to pull it northeastward across Florida quickly, or is the trough going to leave Ian behind and have it moving slowly over Florida? Getting more and more concerned about a slow motion over the state of Florida. This individual Euro model run shows that happening into late next week, into the following weekend. So that's just one scenario that's farther east, more to the right-hand side of the cone. But you'll notice that we have a lot of Euro members that get into the central and eastern Gulf of Mexico, and some of them go over Florida. There is a very wide spread here over the next 5 days in the Euro model system alone. And then after that, we could have a slow-moving system over northern Florida into the southeast. So that's just the Euro. Now, what about the GFS modeling system? Okay, the GFS individual model run is farther to the west. In fact, the GFS and the Euro are a couple hundred miles apart over the Gulf of Mexico, Florida region. So there's a lot of spread in just those two models. And then the GFS ensembles are spread pretty far and wide from the central Gulf to the Florida Peninsula just 5 days from now. And then again, the potential for a slow mover after that. So what does this all mean for the state of Florida? Well, if the GFS is correct and the individual model run is a reasonable expectation of what could happen, then that would lessen the threat for, say, southeastern Florida and maybe lessen the threat for direct impacts of the worst of the storm in say, Naples, Fort Myers. But this could still really have a big impact up in the Florida Panhandle and in the Big Bend area. But again, a slow mover because that trough leaves it behind. So there's still a lot of spread relative to the state of Florida and other parts of the southeast U.S. One resource being brought to bear here to try to get those models in better agreement out at days 3, 4, 5, and 6 is the NOAA G4 jet. This is a NOAA aircraft that doesn't go into the hurricane, it flies around it. It's in flight right now, and it's dropping dropsondes, these parachute-borne instruments, flying at about 40,000 feet and dropping the sondes, and that data is intended to get into the models to hopefully get them into better agreement, Chris. So we really are beneficial to have all of these aircraft resources to not only keep track of the intensity, but also improve the track. Now, we are going to go to the National Hurricane Center and talk to Acting Director Jamie Rome, who is joining us live from the Hurricane Center. Jamie, thanks for joining us tonight.
No, thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk about the latest forecast on the street and why you are able to more confidently forecast such robust strengthening than is sometimes the case.
Well, the overall environment ahead of this storm is pretty conducive. Both the atmosphere and the underlying ocean. The ocean's very warm, and that's the fuel for the hurricane. So as this system, and you can kind of see the overall outflow here sort of expanding. That's the environment getting better, but then it's going to move over very warm waters of the Northwest Caribbean Sea.
Jamie, when we talk about possible impacts for the United States, what are you most confident in right now?
I think we're most confident that the hurricane, potentially a significant one, is going to move into the eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico. Thereafter, it gets tricky, not because the track is uncertain, but more the exact landfall location really matters for the hazard. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly who's going to get what at this early stage of the game, but the guidance is pretty persistent that a hurricane, potentially a significant one, perhaps even a major hurricane, is going to move into the eastern portions of the Gulf of Mexico.
And Jamie, let's talk a little bit about the progression of products and warnings coming from the Hurricane Center over the next couple of days. At some point, I would imagine we're going to have hurricane watches for some part of the U.S. How does that change the product suite, especially with regard to what we might see with regard to storm surge-related products?
Yeah, as we get into the watch phase, we try to get a little bit more specific and refine the impacts. So that means things like we provide more information on the storm surge and heavy rainfall potential. And that is what really helps people to start zeroing in on which portions of Florida could be most heavily impacted.
And Jamie, if you could go door to door to every resident in the state of Florida and tell them something, what would that be?
You need to look up your evacuation zone and know it now. In Florida, we letter our evacuation zones, A, B, C, and D. And so many people, especially with COVID, so many new Florida residents, they have no idea if they're in an evacuation zone, much less which letter.
All right, Jamie Rome, Acting Director of the National Hurricane Center, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck to you and all the fine men and women there at the National Hurricane Center. Dr. Knapp doing such an important job this weekend, next week, and we have a lot to discuss here over the next 3+ hours going on.
Yeah, we sure do. And what's also happening at the Hurricane Center is they're talking to the emergency managers and briefing them as they begin to make potential evacuation decisions.
Hitting the road? Not all 5G networks are created equal. T-Mobile covers more highway miles with 5G than Verizon. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Meet Google Pixel 6a, the smarter phone that can see in the dark with Night Sight, fix your photos with Magic Eraser, and photograph all skin tones accurately with Real Tone. Google Pixel 6a. Save up to $150 on an unlocked Pixel 6a with qualified activation.
If Physicians Mutual were a friend of yours, we'd be like Eddie here, loyal, dependable, and always there for you. We'd be the one you'd talk to about retirement, the complexities of Medicare, and the coverage you'd need. We'd listen and give you straightforward answers. Think of us as your devoted retirement friend. At Physicians Mutual, we'll help you find the coverage you need so you can have the retirement you deserve. Oh, good boy.
Physicians Mutual, Physicians Mutual.
Feeling supported, bad vibes started. This is Activia Plus. CDs ain't no need to think, head over heels, get A+ feels. Activia Plus with nutrients to help support your immune system. Start with Activia. Your gut is where it all begins.
Ooh, little fall photo sesh I see. Hey, I know. Everybody say new DQ Fall Blizzard menu featuring pumpkin pie, new cinnamon roll centers, and more. That one is hilarious. DQ, happy tastes good.
Honey, what's Guy Fieri doing at the neighbor's house?
It's Slider Sunday! Everyone grab a King's Hawaiian slider!
Slider Sunday?
Slider Sunday! We got Philly cheesesteak sliders on King's Hawaiian slider buns.
Oh my.
And we've got cheeseburger sliders on King's Hawaiian pretzel slider buns. Slider Sunday! Everything's better between King's Hawaiian bread, especially now with King's Hawaiian pretzel buns. Maybe next time use the gate.
Good checkup? No, great checkup.
Oh, thank you, Doc. We're talking Dental Hall of Fame.
You want a sticker? For great checkups, Crest has you covered because Crest Pro Health protects 100% of your mouth for 24 hours.
Keep up the good work.
Densify from Crest Pro Health.
Like bones, your teeth lose density over time, but Crest has you covered. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth.
Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
Well, heard my baby sis is buying a car. You'll need my secret weapon.
Gross, no. Anyway, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. It was awesome. I found my car online and I got pre-qualified instantly.
Bet your credit score went.
Wasn't affected at all. Then I got my real rate monthly payment, had an amazing test drive at the dealer, and made this purchase.
What?
Hold on, check it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What's in your wallet?
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel. And America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
For years, New Yorkers only had one way to move, with cardboard and tape. Those were dark days for people on their way to new places. But now, there's a new way, Congrenience. Our bins make packing and moving easy. Book a clean green move today and put Congrenience into your life. And when your move is complete, we pick them up. Call today or visit our site. Operators are standing by.
My cholesterol is borderline. I figure I can worry about it or do something about it. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free with guaranteed potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic.
My parents can always check my glucose levels just by looking at their cell phones.
I share my numbers with my wife and my daughter. And if I'm out in the yard working or busy, she'll come out and tell me, hey, you're going too low. If I'm working hard, it makes me feel good that they're watching.
Currently in our area, 70 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, a few passing clouds, a few sprinkles possible late, low 59, winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Gusty winds and small hail are possible, high 76, chance of rain 60%. Sunday night, thunderstorms early, gusty winds and small hail are possible, low 62, chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
We've got something that's miles long and a mile wide.
After the flood, the house was gutted and the family pretty much lost everything.
We're building them a rock-star brand new kitchen and revamping the entire living room.
We only have less than a week to get this done, but I'm confident we can get it done. Come on in.
Oh my gosh! They nailed it.
Absolutely incredible.
I wasn't expecting this.
Fast Home Rescue, tonight, 8/7 Central, only on the Weather Channel.
Tracking Ian on the Weather Channel, and right now it is a tropical storm, and it is expected to gain strength as it goes by and through the Caribbean, going by Jamaica. As we look there live on the right, conditions look okay right now. Same story in Tampa. However, both areas need to be on alert for what is possibly going to come. Heavy rain, of course, for Jamaica could lead to flash flooding, also mudslides a possibility. Tampa, we know, boy, extremely vulnerable, low-lying area, and the shape of the ground underneath the water offshore to surge and flooding. That is going to be a huge, huge thing to watch here in the coming days. And with that, as we go to our hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb, that's why it looks like it's going to be strong. How strong, how big it's going to be remains to be seen. But for places like Tampa, the track is huge, right? Even if it's not directly going to hit Tampa, even a close miss could be bad news.
Yeah, and the bottom line here is we're going to have a significant major hurricane risk here that has the potential to bring conditions to people in their areas that are worse than they've ever experienced from a hurricane before, depending on how long you lived in a particular location. It is time this weekend to at least be getting preliminarily ready for Ian. That is going to get a lot stronger than what is in this latest advisory at 45 miles per hour. It's going to be moving over extremely warm water with a lot of weak wind shear. Now, we have hurricane warning for Grand Cayman, but other watches and warnings will be coming before too much longer. Jamaica could get flash floods and mudslides along the way, unfortunately, but look at that upper level outflow. It is really getting its act together. High pressure off to the north, steering it westward, but it's going to make that turn because the highs are going to move offshore, and troughing up north is going to draw this northward. There's the system that's going to open the door to bring it into the northwest Caribbean to strengthen and then bring it into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The latest track and intensity forecast is very concerning, with even more significant intensification than in previous advisories, getting to a major hurricane before it even leaves the northwest Caribbean, and then maybe as strong as a Cat 4 in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Timing, very important. If the winds of tropical storm force arrive in Key West, they could get there on Tuesday morning. And so watches could go up as early as tomorrow morning, and then farther up the coast, it'd be later on Tuesday that winds of tropical storm force arrive, and could be in the northern part of the Florida Peninsula by Wednesday morning. So the next couple of days, watches and warnings are going to be coming out, Chris.
And Dr. Knabb, we know September is typically peak time for hurricanes, and we've partnered with T-Mobile to bring you the science behind how hurricanes begin so that you can stay connected and prepared. Meteorologist Alex Wilson has more.
A tropical storm is organizing off the coast. Residents are getting alerts on their connected devices. Crews are busy preparing for what's to come. And the hurricane hunters are heading out on another mission, collecting the data we'll need to understand why this storm is quickly getting stronger and more dangerous. Let's dive into the science behind hurricanes. 500 miles from the coast, on an ocean platform near the center of the tropical storm, winds are really picking up. Now, if they increase at least 35 miles per hour within 24 hours, we will reach the criteria for rapid intensification. Most of the strongest hurricanes go through rapid intensification at some point. It looks like the winds are now gusting over 100 miles per hour, much stronger than 24 hours ago, and it appears we might be entering the eye. Wow, look at this. We are now in the eye. These clouds are over 10 miles tall, nearly twice as tall as Mount Everest. And believe it or not, winds are light, the sky is clearing. This is because at the top of the thunderstorms, air is converging towards the center of the storm and is being forced downward. That sinking motion prevents clouds from forming and warms the atmosphere. Adding to that, within the eye wall, more heat is being released in these thunderstorms as rising water vapor condenses into rain. Now, all of this warming in the inner core lowers the barometric pressure, which in turn drives up the strong winds. When all of these processes work efficiently under ideal conditions, a storm is able to rapidly intensify. And this has been happening more frequently, in part because climate change is warming the ocean, and hotter water provides more energy to fuel these massive storms. This can be especially dangerous when rapid intensification occurs shortly before landfall. Instead of dealing with a tropical storm, now a Category 3 hurricane is possible, capable of 40 times more damage. People are now at greater risk to strong winds and storm surge, but there may no longer be time to evacuate. That is why it is more important than ever to use the technology available to you to stay connected to the forecast, family, and friends, and to heed evacuation warnings ahead of any storm that threatens.
Presented by T-Mobile. Stay connected this fall with more 5G bars in more places. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Hitting the road? Not all 5G networks are created equal. T-Mobile covers more highway miles with 5G than Verizon. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Okay, Jake from State Farm, I really want that personal price plan. Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez, I save my shrimp tails. I have a whole collection. I keep them in jars under my bed.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
She also plays piano.
Yeah.
With my feet.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Shingles. Some describe it as an intense burning sensation or an unbearable itch. This painful, blistering rash can disrupt your life for weeks. It could make your workday feel impossible. The virus that causes shingles is likely already inside of you. If you're 50 years or older, ask your doctor or pharmacist about shingles.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Oopsies. You go.
No, you go.
Oh.
Go for the handful.
How white do you think your teeth really are? Let's try the tissue test. Oof, still yellow. There's toothpaste white and there's Crest 3D White Strips white.
White strips safely work below the enamel surface for whiter teeth in 3 days, guaranteed.
A zillion times whiter.
Crest.
Give a little time for the child within you. Don't be afraid to be young and free. Undo the locks and throw away the keys and hug you and kiss you and love you. Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you.
Some people like to talk into microphones. We prefer dropping them. MDX Type S, a new era of premium performance.
Attention foodies. With this fusion of prime rib steak, melted provolone, and other magical melty stuff, Arby's is now officially a fusion restaurant. Chef Smooch, Arby's, we have the meat.
She was supposed to be the one.
I used to believe in the one. And then I realized there's plenty of savings in the sea.
What?
Amazon has daily deals, so every day is a chance to meet the deal that catches your eye, that shakes your soul, that changes your destiny. I'm gonna go check on those tater tots.
Learn all the ways to save with Amazon.
Trick or treat! Kit Kat! Reese's!
Oh, great costume. Looks like you deserve both.
See ya, boys.
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel.
This is epic!
Trusted to be there, where and when you need us. Trusted to work around the clock until every threat is over.
I'm going to show you how powerful the winds are.
Because America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
Tracking Ian here on the Weather Channel and looking at a couple of beautiful spots here. Beautiful beaches, but not beautiful weather heading to both of these locations. Hurricane warning in effect for Grand Cayman, where Ian is expected to pass nearby tomorrow night into early Monday morning. Strong onshore winds could produce 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Meanwhile, Cancun could see tropical storm force winds as early as Monday morning. So the latest right now with this system, with this tropical storm Ian, here's Jamaica, and up here is Grand Cayman, and this is that storm. It's starting to look more healthy in a sense that it looks like it's developing more here. A lot of thunderstorm activity, starting to see some of that outflow as well. It's just kind of starting to get that look here that you see as a storm transitions from a tropical storm into a hurricane. A bigger look here now on the water vapor. This is showing us the movement of the atmosphere in the mid and upper levels. This is a good reason to use the water vapor here because it does show the mid and upper levels of the moisture. So you can kind of see how it's moving and what's going on. And you can still see the whole storm is moving to the west here, expecting more of a northwesterly turn. And when that happens, it's going to continue to go over waters that are favorable for development, extremely conducive environment as well. Wind shear, and when you look at the wind shear here, there's not a ton of it. You have to look a little bit here. And wind shear is important because if you have it, it can work to tear apart a storm. And when you don't have it, the storms can develop more freely. And that's, I think, always one of the big ironies here. These storms that can be so violent need a relatively quiet environment to grow in and get even stronger. And of course, the waters here extremely warm, even hot, if you will. Temperatures close to 90 degrees. And that heat in the water is deep as well. So as the storm moves across the water, churning up more warm water, so not seeing anything that will inhibit it from growing even stronger. And the official forecast here by Tuesday does have it at a Category 4 hurricane. Possibly it could be close to that, a major hurricane at landfall, depending on where it goes. And that is still, Dr. Nab, a huge point. We don't know exactly how strong it's going to be. The conditions are there that pretty confident there's the potential, right, for it to be extremely strong. But where it goes is going to be huge. And it's just be little time for some to get it together and evacuate if needed.
Yeah, with this high confidence that we're going to have a major hurricane in the Eastern Gulf, the conversation really does need to focus on where could it go and who needs to start getting ready, even right now, preliminarily. And again, it's so important not to focus on where the center of the cone is, and we can't even guarantee the center will stay inside the cone. And even if it does, the impacts could go well outside of that cone. Now let's look at what is driving this steering pattern. Right now there's high pressure to the north, but that high pressure is going to give way and allow it to turn to the right because there's a big trough here coming across the Great Lakes. And if we switch over to the models, you'll see how it's represented here. Colors are low level spin, the white lines are the upper level flow. Watch, see, we've got a weak ridge in place right now to the north over Florida and the western Atlantic. But as this trough deepens over the next couple of days, look at that door opening up. There's the pathway north. So it brings the system over the very conducive Northwest Caribbean, but then it brings the system northward into the Eastern Gulf. That aspect we're very confident of. The hard part becomes how fast and sharp is the turn? Does it get picked up by that trough or does it get left behind? And look how the Euro leaves it behind over Florida, going slowly northward into the end of next week. But that is just one model run. The European model and its ensembles, these alternative scenarios, are farther east than the GFS. But look at the wide range of possibilities just out to the next 5 days. That's wider than the cone. So we could have anywhere within the cone and even slightly outside the cone for the center to go if you use these ensembles as a guide. And then a slow mover into the southeast U.S. next weekend. Now let's look at the GFS ensembles. The whole GFS modeling system generally farther to the west than the Euro. The main run and its ensembles are a little farther to the left. So we have models that are biased right, models that are biased left. We have some of their ensembles that are inside or outside of the cone in either direction. And that's why taking an average of it and realizing that anybody who's inside or just outside the cone could get the full brunt of this hurricane in the next several days. That's why we've got to watch out. And Chris, the other thing you and I have to watch out for is that slow motion as it's coming ashore.
All right, Dr. Knabb, coming up, I want to talk to you about if there's any Hail Marys that could possibly save us.
Find nutrients. Find energy. Flavors. Fruit stuff. Veggie stuff. Confidence stuff. Spiky fruit. Smooth fruit. A carrot. Feet. And I cannot read this fast. Hello, people. Find it in V8. Ooh, that's nice.
Dry eye symptoms keep driving you crazy? Inflammation in your eye might be to blame.
Time for ache and burn.
Over-the-counter eye drops typically work by lubricating your eyes and may provide temporary relief.
Those will probably pass by me.
Xiidra works differently, targeting inflammation that can cause dry eye disease.
Xiidra? No!
It can provide lasting relief. Xiidra is approved to treat the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. Don't use if you're allergic to Xiidra. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort or blurred vision when applied to the eye, and unusual taste sensation.
Got any room in your eye?
Ask your doctor if a 90-day prescription is right for you and pay as little as $0.
I prefer you didn't.
Xiidra. Not today, dry eye.
You'll always remember buying your first car and buying your starter home, or whatever this is. But the things that last a lifetime, like happiness, love, and confidence, you can't buy those, but you can invest in them. We believe that your investments should work harder for the future you imagine. And that's where our strategic investing approach can help. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Thank you, Nature Made, for seeing that life is a little chaotic and creating new targeted blends to help. So when our sleep, stress, and immune health are thrown off, new Nature Made Well blends can help us find balance.
My mental health was much better. My mind was in a good place. But my body was telling a different story.
I felt all people saw were my uncontrolled movements. Some mental health meds can cause
tardive dyskinesia, or TD, and it's unlikely to improve without treatment.
Ingrezza is a prescription medicine to treat adults with TD movements in the face and body. It's the only treatment for TD that's one pill once daily with or without food. Ingrezza 80 milligram is proven to reduce TD movements in 7 out of 10 people. People taking Ingrezza can stay on their current dose of most mental health meds. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to any of its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including sleepiness. Don't drive, operate heavy machinery, or do other dangerous activities until you know how Ingrezza affects you. Other serious side effects include potential heart rhythm problems and abnormal movements.
It's nice people focus more on me.
Ask your doctor about Ingrezza, #1 prescribed for TD. Learn how you could pay as little as $0 at Ingrezza.com.
It started somewhere between a cuddle and a struggle. It's the side hug. Tween milestones like this may start at age 9.
HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then, too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for others, it can cause certain cancers later in life. Welcome!
Hi.
Now, as the dad cab, it's my cue to help protect them.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next. Ask their doctor about HPV vaccination today.
Do you want some more?
Wait till you see me on the downhill.
See you at home.
Enjoy it with the advanced safety features of a Lexus ES.
Please pay attention to the forecast.
The Weather Channel,
America's most trusted TV news network.
And right now here on the Weather Channel, we are looking at the extremely warm water temperatures here in the Caribbean and also here in the Gulf as the storm will continue to move in this direction over those very warm waters. And you can see with that and the rest of the environment favorable for development. So the storm has, unfortunately, what it needs to get even stronger. And it could rapidly intensify, going from a tropical storm tomorrow afternoon to almost a Category 3 by Monday afternoon. So that would be extremely fast, strengthening with this and then getting up to a Category 4. That's the official forecast. all subject to change. And as we take a look at the storm right here, the hurricane hunters, of course, are in there gathering the very latest information associated with this. And we're looking at a storm that is showing signs that it is getting its act together, if you will, getting more organized as we look at some of the thunderstorms that you see. In fact, right in here and here, you see some of the overshooting tops associated with some of these individual storms. See that here and here, but also just the shape of it as well. You see clusters of storms here and here, and there's some of that outflow as well coming out of the storm. It's really starting to get that look here, right here in the Caribbean. I want to go now to our hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb. And Dr. Knabb, when we look at all of the conditions that are in favor of it, water temperature is certainly a big thing, but it's also, with these storms, water itself can be one of the biggest threats.
Yeah, in fact, I'm more concerned that water could take lives in this event, more so than I am concerned about wind doing that.
And a reminder, when we say Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5, that's all wind related. But it's also that wind will push the water.
Yeah, major hurricanes are very efficient, unfortunately, at pushing the ocean around. And when you look at this cone, you don't just want to focus on the fact that the winds could be very, very strong and the winds could do damage on their own. A hurricane this strong, Cat 4 potentially, could produce tremendous storm surge flooding. And also, another thing to look at with this cone is how the lines get closer together as we get into the latter portion of the forecast. A slow-moving system is much more capable of producing flooding by rainfall. And so that is a really big concern. So water, both saltwater flooding from storm surge and rain-induced flooding are both going to be big concerns for Florida and in maybe the southeastern U.S. Look at how slow some of these tracks are after it gets into the eastern Gulf. So that is a concern. Now, we got to get ready for the storm surge flooding I'll talk about in a minute, but also the heavy rainfall. If that slow motion plays out, look at how heavy the rains could be in the northern Florida peninsula, getting into the Panhandle region, into southern Georgia. The models don't agree on exactly where that would occur, but over the next week, that could be a significant story. So this is not just going to be a coastal event. And if you're getting ready for storm surge or winds or anything, you got to get done by the time the winds of tropical storm force arrive. That could start Tuesday morning in the Keys, could be Tuesday evening on the west coast of central Florida, could be Wednesday morning by the time you get into the Big Bend and the Panhandle. So you got to be getting ready by those times. And if you're told by your local officials to evacuate, they're going to want you to evacuate and be done evacuating by those times. Find out right now if you live in a storm surge evacuation zone in the state of Florida by going to floridadisaster.org. And let me show you some examples of just how far inland these storm surge evacuation zones go on the Gulf Coast of Florida. This is not just a beachfront problem. Southwest Florida, it can go blocks, miles, several miles inland. Look at Port Charlotte and Venice and Sarasota up into Bradenton. How far inland, including along these rivers. So it's not just Gulf front property. And in the Tampa Bay area, in Clearwater, big time storm surge problems. So again, find out today if you live in an evacuation zone and decide right now where you'd go and how you would get there, Chris. And, you know, we can really be, if we're outside of these zones, be someone's inland evacuation destination.
The website. All right, Dr. Knabb, and another big factor, and we talk about what you need to do. We could be talking to people that have never had to even think about this before. And this map tells us that. This is the population change over a 10-year period ending in 2020. And these darker kind of bluish green colors, kind of the turquoise colors of some of the beautiful waters around here, showing 5, 10, 20, 40% increase in population. So perhaps people coming from the Twin Cities or from upstate New York coming to retire now having to realize, gosh, we might have to evacuate. What do we do? How do we deal with this? And again, some of the things to think about. Know your zone, as Dr. Knabb was just showing us. A lot of very important things to think about. And of course, number one of the big things is know which evacuation zone you are in. So with that, people that have lived in Florida for some time and know what is possible, people are getting ready. Are you getting the extra groceries you need? The gas is so important as well, both if you have to evacuate or if you lose power. Your car's kind of like a mini generator, if you will. You can charge your devices and keep cool.
Life doesn't stop for diabetes. Be ready for every moment with Glucerna. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand that's scientifically designed to help manage your blood sugar. Live every moment. Glucerna.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Oopsies. You go.
No, you go.
Oh.
Go for the handful.
Real fruit, whole grains, and chocolatey chunks. Doing something good for yourself has never been this delicious. Kellogg's Special K.
What keeps me vital? Nowadays, the simple things are vital. Movement, rest, friends, and vital proteins. Every moment is vital because you are vital.
Right before Mike decided to say yes, he learned he had IBS-C and could treat it with Linzess. It explained why his constipation with belly pain wouldn't go away, and why the belly pain, discomfort, and bloating couldn't be kept at bay. After Mike learned his symptoms were signs of a chronic condition, his doctor helped him make a decision. And that's why he said yes to adding Linzess. Linzess is not a laxative. It helps you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and is proven to help relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Could your story also be about IBS-C? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn how AbbVie and Ironwood could help you save on Linzess.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too, by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Oral treatments can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms first appear. If you have symptoms of COVID-19, even if they're mild, don't wait. Get tested quickly. If you test positive and are at high risk for severe disease, act fast. Ask if an oral treatment is right for you. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too.
There's plenty of reasons to celebrate with Spectrum Mobile. Because now you can get the best deal in mobile. Unlimited talk, text, and data on 2 lines for just $29.99 a line. Call 833-261-2999. Switch and save up to 60% on your mobile bill. Now that's worth celebrating. Plus, enjoy nationwide 5G and the most reliable service coast to coast. Get Spectrum Mobile with unlimited for $29.99 a line. Call 833-261-2999. With Spectrum Mobile, your options are truly unlimited. And that includes no contracts, no added taxes, and no hidden fees. Choose from a variety of the latest phones, or bring your own. Join the nation's fastest growing mobile provider and get the best deal in mobile. Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $29.99, all with no contracts, no added taxes, and no hidden fees. Call 833-261-2999. Click SpectrumMobile.com or visit a store near you.
Stronger surge and stronger storms makes a stronger hurricane season. You know what else is getting stronger? The #1 most trusted TV news network, the Weather Channel. Now available for anyone to stream on the new and improved TV app. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
Currently in our area, 70 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, a few passing clouds, a few sprinkles possible late, low 59, winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Gusty winds and small hail are possible, high 76. Chance of rain, 60%. Sunday night, thunderstorms early. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. Low 62. Chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Weather Channel as we track Tropical Storm Ian. We're taking your questions. So let's see what viewers are asking us, Chris, on social media.
All right, a lot of questions I'm sure people have. We start right now here. This one here, with each new update, it seems to be tracking farther and farther west. Is this trend expected to continue? And if so, will it possibly move west to where Central Florida, Red Pinellas, Hillsborough counties are relatively safe? Is it possible it will move back east?
Let's start by asking that last question first and talking about that. Is it possible it will move back east? Yes. So we cannot guarantee that the trends that we've been seeing in the models are going to keep happening. And one of the biggest challenges as a forecaster when I was at Hurricane Center was trying to figure that out. If you're seeing trends in the models, when are they going to stop and when are they going to trend back? But let me explain in general what is causing the uncertainty in the models. Here's Ian, and here's this big trough. These systems are really far apart and days apart from interacting with one another. This system is going to bring Ian north. But when you look at the models, they represent that overall system, but they don't agree on exactly how sharp of a turn that Ian will make as it goes up toward that trough. Now, the European model is farther to the right, and it gets left behind by that trough, and then it goes very slowly right up the area that our viewer was concerned about, right up the Gulf Coast of Florida. And if you look at the Euro Ensemble members, these are the possible scenarios. Now, right now, the Hurricane Center's track with the cone is like about this wide. With the Euro Ensemble members, you have possible tracks that are left outside of the cone, right outside of the cone, and everywhere in between. Chris, the track in the next day or two could shift in either direction, east or west, away from the Gulf Coast of Florida or toward it.
You just hinted to this, but when you look at that, when you're at the Hurricane Center, when do you start biting onto one way or the other? When do you actually make that call to shift the cone one way or the other?
Well, you'll notice that over the last 24 hours, the shifts have been very slow, and they're going to keep them to be very, very minimal. You'll know that you have gotten a lock when the model's getting better agreement. Until then, you're going to make very subtle shifts in the model forecast in your official track.
So you need big and frequent trend, right?
Yes, and better agreement in the models before you make big changes in the official track.
All right, so if you guys have any more questions, please send them our way. Hashtag Hurricane Questions, and we'll do our best to answer those for you live here on the Weather Channel. Meanwhile, Fiona now post-tropical, but still powerful. Last week, it was Puerto Rico. This week, parts of Canada. Heavy rain, damaging winds hitting Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island, heading north toward Newfoundland. Some areas could see now up to 6 or even 10 inches of rain when it's all over. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians woke up without power this morning. And of course, thousands of people in Puerto Rico are still waiting for the lights to come back on after the same system hit their island. Now back to Dr. Nab with a look at what else. And boy, there is a lot of else right now in the tropics.
Yeah, and Fiona is still a big bad storm over Canada. It's just not something the Hurricane Center is writing advisories on anymore. But my goodness, what a tremendous impact that has been as it goes northward over Atlantic Canada up in here. So it's still a big beast. But we have Gaston, we have Hermine, and we have what could become maybe another depression. Let's take a look at what happened, though, with that landfall of Fiona as a post-tropical cyclone. Its lowest pressure, 931 millibars. That would be a new all-time record for the country of Canada. My goodness. So even though it had lost its tropical characteristics, was a frontal system, it was still a very powerful one. Now, that is where it is headed farther and farther north, but it left its footprint in a very big way with wind and water, as you saw. Now, here is Gaston, which is way out by the Azores, northeastern Atlantic. It's not very well organized now and kind of losing its punch and will be dissipating here off to the west. Now, Let's look at Hermine. This is out by the coast of Africa. Here's the Cabo Verde Islands. 35-mile-an-hour depression, and this one moving northward. This does not have a very long life ahead of it as a tropical cyclone. Either could bring some rain to the Canary Islands. So we have Gaston and Hermine, but not for much longer will those systems or what's left of them be around. 20% chance of development out here in the eastern Atlantic by the Cabo Verde Islands. Not a very, very significant chance of development there. So good thing, because we have enough on our hands as we talk about Ian. But it's interesting how Earl, Fiona, Hermine, Gaston, and Ian all formed from these tropical waves that come off the west coast of Africa. These are the seedlings for all our biggest hurricanes and major hurricanes. And we'll come back in just a little bit to tell you just how strong Ian could become.
Meet Google Pixel 6a, the smarter phone that can see in the dark with Night Sight, fix your photos with Magic Eraser, and photograph all skin tones accurately with Real Tone. Google Pixel 6a. Save up to $150 on an unlocked Pixel 6a with qualified activation.
Lily! Welcome to our third Barkery.
Oh, I can tell business is going through the roof.
But seriously, we need a reliable way to help keep everyone connected from wherever we go.
Well, at AT&T, we'll help you find the right wireless plan for you, so you can stay connected to all your drivers and stores on America's most reliable 5G network.
That sounds just perfect.
Terrierific.
I Labrador you.
Round of applause.
AT&T 5G is fast, reliable, and secure for your business.
Another busy day? Of course. You're a CIO in 2022, but you're ready because you've got the next generation in global secure networking from Comcast Business with fully integrated security solutions all in one place. So you're covered, on-premise and in the cloud. You can run things the way you want, your team, ours, or a mix of both, with the nation's largest IP converged network from the most innovative company. Bring on today with Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
This is a glimpse into the not-too-distant future of Lincoln. It's what Sanctuary could look like, feel like, sound like, even smell like. More on that soon. The best part? The prequel is pretty sweet, too.
Find a way back home together.
More sinkholes are coming.
I just want my family back.
Thanks.
Jake from State Farm, I really need to know.
Go spicy or go home, right?
What? No. What if I'm not sure I have the right coverage for my car?
Oh, your agent can help me make sure it's just what you need.
What if I accidentally hit a food truck and it gets covered in empanadas?
You can file a claim on the app. At State Farm, we're there for your what-ifs.
Thanks.
Oh.
That is spicy. That's for you.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Find nutrients. Find energy. Flavors. Fruit stuff. Veggie stuff. Confident stuff. Spiky fruit. Smooth fruit. A carrot. Beet. And I cannot read this fast. Hello, people. Find it in V8. Ooh, that's nice.
Trick or treat! Kit Kat! Reese's!
Oh, great costume. Looks like you deserve both.
See ya, boys.
Oh, what a good time we will have. You can make it happen, girl.
Voltaren, the joy of movement.
Family meeting!
We have big news. Kellogg's Cinnamon Roll Frosted Mini Wheats.
Bakery fresh cinnamon roll flavor in every bite. You're gonna love them.
Welcome back to our special coverage tracking Ian here on the Weather Channel as we track this tropical storm. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren along with hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb. And as you see, people are already taking advantage of the time to prepare. These residents in Southwest Florida know that now is the time to do things like go to the store, get water, non-perishable food, top off the gas tank or fill her up if needed. Make sure that generator is taken care of if you have one. Meanwhile, the hurricane hunters are on the move. They took off earlier today, and another team is heading into the storm right now. While we don't know the final destination of Ian or how strong exactly it will be just yet, we do know that it is going to get stronger and stronger as it approaches the Cayman Islands, where where a hurricane warning is in effect for parts of the Caymans. We want to get the very latest with this with our own hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knapp.
Yeah, Chris, it's a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm, and you might be thinking, well, I'll just wait until this actually becomes a hurricane and a major hurricane to start getting ready and to start being concerned and keeping track of what's going on. I would urge you not to wait until then, because you will waste valuable preparation time, at least the ability to do some preliminary preparations this weekend before things get more real in the eastern Gulf of Mexico as we get into next week. So the system's south of Jamaica right now. They don't have any watches or warnings up for wind in Jamaica, but they have got hurricane warning for Grand Cayman. But Jamaica, you could still get some heavy rainfall, flash floods, and mudslides. Quickly to the latest track and intensity forecast from the Hurricane Center. It came out about an hour ago. Notice how it gets even stronger in the Northwest Caribbean than on previous advisories. More confidence that it's going to rapidly intensify to a hurricane tomorrow, to a major hurricane on Monday. And then it gets out of the Northwestern Caribbean after potentially having really bad impacts in western Cuba as maybe a Category 4 hurricane, a major hurricane threat to portions of the state of Florida. Now, the chances of getting tropical storm force winds exist in the entire state of Florida. So it's not like anybody in the state of Florida can be told now you won't have any impact. So what about hurricane force winds? The greatest chances for hurricane force winds, even though we don't have hurricane watches up, these are the places where those watches could go up as soon as tomorrow. And that would be on the Gulf Coast of Florida here, especially from, say, Panama City down to Naples. That is the zone that has the greatest chance of hurricane force winds in the next 5 days. But in terms of timing, Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon and evening is when the winds of tropical storm force are expected to first potentially arrive in places like Florida. So, Chris, that means that 2 days in advance of that, tomorrow, is when tropical storm or hurricane watches could go up. So the preparations are going to be ramping up. So the more you can get done today, preliminarily, to get ahead of the game, the better off you'll be.
Meanwhile, back to the Caribbean, with Ian gaining strength in the Caribbean, Jamaica's prime minister is urging residents to take the time now to prepare.
I'm appealing to all Jamaicans, please be prepared. Do whatever little shopping you can do to have a little food preparation just in case. Put aside your important documents, put them in a safe place. Look at your surroundings to see if there are any trees or any limbs that might be potentially destructive to your home, and take the necessary action. Make sure that you have potable water, drinking water set aside, and batteries, flashlight.
And that is great advice for everyone here, possibly in the path of what is expected to be a strengthening storm, and strengthening in a big way in the coming days, likely to a hurricane as it moves into the western Gulf. There is a lot of very warm water and deep warm water, so we're not going to see as much cool water being churned up that could hinder development. In this case, plenty of that fuel here. There's also plenty of moisture around the storm for the storm to build and grow with its clouds. And then some of the upper level winds get rid of some of that air and really help the storm essentially breathe and continue to grow, get more of that rising air, get more storm development. A lot of the forecast models continue to take this over these very warm waters. And you see, even where it has some of the cooler colors, the greens, that's still warm water. That is still water that is warm enough to support tropical systems. And some of the measurements here of the water, 87, 88, 88 degrees throughout the whole path here. And that is well above just the baseline. Need around 80 degrees for a tropical system to develop and sustain itself. So this is some water that is absolutely cooking here. And we look at the potential. These are some of the different forecasts here. The different colors are up here, just a different forecast that there. Here's Sunday, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, early Thursday. You see a quick jump. Here's Cat 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5. And look at how many here. All of these models show at least a Category 4 and getting close to a Category 5. So we can't rule that out either. And this all up to a Cat 4. Some of these as early as overnight, Monday into early Tuesday. And Dr. Knabb, when you look at the possible intensity of the storm or the track of the storm, what is more likely to surprise you? How strong it could get or where it could go?
Well, I'm not going to be surprised by too many possibilities on where it could go, because there's so much spread in the models that anything from the north central Gulf to coming into southwest Florida directly, those are all possibilities. So none of those outcomes will surprise me. So that's why I want all those folks in all those areas to be preparing now.
Okay, would you be surprised if it did not get to a Cat 1?
Oh, there's no way this is not getting to a Cat 1. This is going to be a hurricane.
I think you know where this is going. Would you be surprised if this did not get to a Cat 2?
I'd be very surprised.
Would you be surprised if this was not a major Cat 3 hurricane?
Yes, very.
Would you be surprised if this was not a Cat 4?
Not terribly.
Okay.
But I'm certainly not going to rule that out. Because once systems get to major hurricane and the waters and the atmosphere are so conducive, it's kind of like the hurricane can kind of do whatever it wants. And it's going to be dependent upon what goes on in its internal structure, just how strong it could get. But Chris, with a major hurricane threat and not knowing exactly how strong it's going to be, I think I guess really to get at the heart of your question, I'm confident enough that this is going to be a really dangerous major hurricane that requires significant advanced preparation to ensure your safety.
Yeah, I want to reverse it real quick. I say, would you be surprised if it was not a Cat 4? Would you be surprised if it got to a Cat 5?
No, I would not. I would not. We have seen systems ramp up to Cat 5 before when we weren't forecasting that explicitly 3-4 days in advance. But the Northwest Caribbean, Eastern Gulf of Mexico, the waters are so warm, and we're at the peak of hurricane season, and we've seen that happen with storms like Michael. That got to Cat 5 in the Eastern Gulf. So we know that the possibility is there for this to get really strong and really impactful in terms of wind and water at the coast and inland. So we really got to talk a lot about who is at risk here. Where could this go? And again, anywhere in the cone is a distinct possibility for the center to go. So I know we've seen shifts in the track. It could shift back and forth either west or east. The center could end up anywhere in this cone. It could even go slightly outside this cone. Even if it stays in the cone, the impacts could go outside of that. So this is going to be turning north because of this system over the Great Lakes. That path is going to open up. Watch how we've got, see these white lines? That's a weak ridge to its north that's steering it westward. This trough digs down, watch what happens. You open up the pathway to the north. So that part we know. It's coming through the northwestern Caribbean and it's getting into the Eastern Gulf. After that, the details get harder to pin down because we don't know if this trough is going to pull it eastward more quickly or if it's going to allow it to go farther west before coming north. And then is it going to get left behind by that trough? Increasingly, that looks like it's going to be the case. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at the European ensemble members, meaning all the different possible scenarios from that modeling system, you have anything from the central Gulf to off the east coast of Florida 5 days from now. So anywhere inside the cone and maybe slightly outside of it in either direction are all possibilities. And a slow motion into the southeastern U.S. into next weekend is a distinct possibility. That is just one modeling system. And when you look at the GFS model and its modeling options here, anywhere from the central Gulf to northern Florida or west coast of Florida are all possibilities in the next 5 days. And so when you combine, Chris, the GFS and the Euro models, our main models, and all of their potential scenarios with their ensembles, anybody inside the cone or slightly outside the cone could get a direct hit from a major hurricane. No, we're all looking for ways to say, oh, I'm off the hook. But all of you still are and need to be preparing preliminarily this weekend and then get ready to substantially ramp up your preparations conditions if watches or warnings are issued.
And of course, it's hard not to look at Florida, right? With the whole cone at least touching Florida right now. So with Florida, there's a state of emergency declared there. Plenty of residents in the Orlando area are doing what you need to do here. They're preparing now for what may be ahead. And they started packing up the sandbags as plenty of heavy rain is anticipated in the days to come. Meanwhile, we did speak to some residents in Tampa who are hitting the gas pumps in grocery stores.
Saturday. I don't play around with a Cat 3, and all the spaghetti models is running it right into there. If it takes a turn, then good for us. We got boards for the next one, you know, but I'm not taking no chances this time.
Yeah, don't want to take any chances for sure. Right now, Fort Myers is in Ian's cone as well. And that's probably no surprise to residents. It's considered a hurricane hotspot. Meteorologist Alex Wilson explains why the area is so vulnerable.
The Fort Myers-Naples area attracts sand and surf lovers from around the world. The population here has exploded 3,000% since 1950, with many living right in the danger zone on low ground near the water. The area is flat, not just inland, but also out there in the Gulf of Mexico. You have 60 miles of beautiful beaches from Fort Myers to Naples to Marco Island. They sit along shallow water, amplifying the hurricane threat. Should a significant storm surge event occur with 10 to 18 feet of storm surge, Fort Myers would end up evacuating around 500,000 people. If a strong hurricane makes landfall just to the north, people who wait too long may not be able to get out. Storm surge will push up the Caloosahatchee River, putting low-lying causeways underwater and forcing people on the few roads that may remain on high ground. And that's why timing is critical. Studies say it can take up to 52 hours to get everyone in danger to higher ground. That means that everyone needs a plan to leave immediately if they get the order to go.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the scenarios here, some of the possibilities. There's a couple of scenarios. Here's two. We'll show you one here in just a moment. But the storm, one possibility is that it goes over the eastern Gulf. That means there's a longer track over water. It allows a lot more time for strengthening. Remember, the storm has to be over the water, of course, for it to strengthen. That's what it has to be, but that's where it does its main business there. And then some of the worst impacts here would be along, even outside of the main part of the storm, along the west coast all the way into the Panhandle. So that's scenario two. I want to show you scenario one right now, which is, they're both kind of on either side of the cone. This is where it would approach western Cuba. That would be late this weekend, getting very close to the Caymans, or going over the Caymans even, and then going into southwest Florida. And that, of course, would mean that some of the worst impacts would occur early next week. Again, remember, scenario two, more time over water, but there's still plenty of options, plenty of possibilities with where it ultimately could go here. So again, what we know right now, expected to produce, the storm is expected to produce heavy rain over Jamaica, over Cuba, and it may lead to some flash flooding, mudslides, where there's some of that higher terrain where all that water kind of gets funneled down and pushes a lot of earth down as well. Hurricane conditions now expected in the Cayman Islands as early as Monday. Hurricane watches, the warnings in effect there now early next week. Forecast to move western Cuba and near major hurricane strength, then approach Florida. Again, do have the possibility of tropical storm conditions in Jamaica, possible hurricane conditions in the Caymans, and then you see this rapid intensification. And at this point, of course, the Cat 4 is a big deal, Dr. Knabb, but this is all subject to change.
Yeah, Chris, and this latest forecast from the Hurricane Center, how quickly it ramps up in the Northwest Caribbean, even for Southwest Florida, it doesn't need that much time over water to strengthen. So we could have a really major hurricane event anywhere on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and that means not just winds, but storm surge. And for storm surge, evacuation is the only way to ensure your safety, according to local officials' instructions. When would that happen? They want to get you out before winds of tropical storm force arrive, and that could be on early or midday or afternoon on Tuesday in Southwest Florida. So in the next day or so, we could start to see some evacuation instructions come out along with, hurricane watches maybe as early as tomorrow. So find out today, before all those instructions come out. If you live in an evacuation zone, go to floridadisaster.org. And you put in your address, and you'll find out what zone you live in, or if you live in one. But you might be surprised. If you live pretty far inland, you might be surprised, oh my gosh, I'm still in an evacuation zone, even though I'm way far inland. Look at Southwest Florida, Naples and Fort Myers, how far inland those evacuation zones go. Same thing from Port Charlotte up through Sarasota and Bradenton, and certainly is the case in the Tampa Bay area. So find out today if you live in an evacuation zone, and then decide today where you go and how you get there if told to evacuate. Hey, if you're inland, be someone's destination.
United Healthcare offers coverage plans designed for your unique needs, no matter where you are in life. So access to care may be closer than you think with United Healthcare. Learn more at uhc.com.
New Astepro Allergy. No allergy spray is faster. With the speed of Astepro, almost nothing can slow you down. Because Astepro starts working in 30 minutes, while other allergy sprays take hours. And Astepro is the first and only 24-hour steroid-free allergy spray. Now without a prescription. Astepro and go.
Curiosity pushes you forward. It's what inspired Meiomi to create an unrivaled wine using the best from California to push flavor in new directions for a taste like no other. Meiomi, flavor forward.
When you really need TV, count on Dish's 99% signal reliability any time of year.
Should we do the cake?
Is it sugar-free? Dish, tuned into you.
What keeps me vital? Nowadays, the simple things are vital. Movement, rest, friends, and vital proteins. Every moment is vital because you are vital.
Enjoy.
Ooh, Tostitos. Can you grab the baby gifts?
Yeah.
Walk to mommy.
What did I miss?
She took her first steps.
Can she do it again?
Her first steps?
For me? What about a second first step?
Does your plug-in fade too fast? Try Febreze Fade to Fi Plug. It has built-in technology to digitally control how much scent is released to smell first day fresh for 50 days.
La 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 la. This is how it feels to do more with less asthma, thanks to Dupixent. Dupixent is not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma and can help improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks. Dupixent helps prevent asthma attacks and can even reduce or eliminate oral steroids. Imagine that. Dupixent can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Who knows what you can do when you do more with less asthma? Ask your asthma specialist about Dupixent.
This is one of the craziest wrecks.
This unit is on the brink of splitting wide open.
Catch up on Highway Through Hell. Streaming now on the Weather Channel TV app.
While most drivers spend their lives going from point A to B, in America, we're all about point X. That's why our most versatile BMW X-Range vehicles are proudly manufactured right here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The BMW X-Range. Your next X-Venture starts here.
Visit your local BMW center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
At Daikin, we know that the air we share is the only air we have. That's why we make technologies to help perfect it. From comfort and convenience to air quality. Our innovations are changing how people enjoy the indoors as we lead the way to a more sustainable future. for the air we share today and tomorrow.
Currently in our area, 69 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy. A few sprinkles possible late. Low 59. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Sunday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. High 76. Chance of rain 60%. Sunday night, thunderstorms early. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. Low 62. Chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
We've got something that's miles long and a mile wide.
After the flood, the house was gutted and the family pretty much lost everything.
We're building them a rock-star brand new kitchen and revamping the entire living room.
We only have less than a week to get this done, but I'm confident we can get it done. Come on in.
Oh my gosh! They nailed it.
Absolutely incredible.
I wasn't expecting this.
Fast Home Rescue. Tonight, 8/7 Central. Only on the Weather Channel.
Tropical storm Ian gaining strength in the Caribbean, putting Jamaica and Tampa, Florida on alert. Heavy rain could bring some flash flooding, mudslides in parts of Jamaica, while Tampa extremely vulnerable to landfalling systems. Both areas right now, Dr. Knapp, looks like business as usual, but for some it will be anything but business as usual here in the coming days.
Yeah, and again, this far out in advance, we don't know exactly who's going to get the worst winds and water impacts from Ian, but we know that the threat is significant and it is growing in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. For the majority of the state of Florida, the risk is high for some significant impacts, even though it's a tropical storm right now. It is forecast to become a hurricane, so much so the Cayman Islands have a hurricane warning up, and it is starting to have that look about it. You don't have the exposed swirl anymore. You got the outflow developing. You got high pressure north steering it westward into the Northwest Caribbean, and then you've got this system up in the Great Lakes that is going to open up the door in that ridge to the north and pull it out of the Northwest Caribbean. And here is the track and intensity forecast that is certainly more concerning even compared to earlier advisories, because it gets to a major hurricane on the doorstep of Cat 4 even before leaving the Northwest Caribbean. So that means it doesn't need time over the Gulf of Mexico to strengthen anymore. It's already going to be there before it even gets to the Gulf. So we've got a very significant major hurricane threat from what is currently a tropical storm, but focus on what it is going to be and what the impacts could be. And we want you to know that you could have a very significant major hurricane threat coming. We want you to know when to be ready by. And the farther south you are in Florida, the earlier you need to be ready, early on Tuesday, later on Tuesday and early Wednesday is when you need to be ready. Chris, these hurricane watches could start coming out tomorrow.
All right, Dr. Knapp, unfortunately, we know that evacuating ahead of a hurricane can be extremely stressful. Finding the right route, knowing where to go, waiting in line for gas. But what if you're behind the wheel of an electric vehicle? Turns out a wrong turn in the Florida Panhandle could put you in a charging dead zone. Chief Environmental Correspondent Dave Malkoff hit the road to find out drivers could fare at an EV evacuation from Florida.
So I rented this electric vehicle here in Florida, the #2 state for EVs in the entire country. But as you know, this is the state that gets a lot of hurricanes, with a lot of people doing mass evacuations. How do you do that when everybody has to charge at once? If you've ever been to a hurricane zone gas station, you know it's crazy. But while filling your gas tank takes just a few minutes, filling a battery will take somewhere between 20 minutes and several hours.
Well, first thing, hopefully, everybody that's evacuating is going ahead and charge to 100%.
Hopefully, yeah. Here at Florida's mega retirement community known as The Villages, Harlan Threlkill is the person to talk to about EVs. Used to make your money in oil?
Yeah, my family had a oil distribution business in Orlando.
This self-described conservative oil man is all in on electric during his retirement years.
That's it. I'm ready to go. I never have to go to the gas station.
With a charger in the garage,
but I got 24 panels up there.
And solar on the roof, he is ready for the next hurricane evacuation. But most Florida drivers have to rely on roadside charging stations.
Private charging sites and non-Tesla sites, and a lot of them are down. And if one's down or if both of them's down, you got no charge available there.
For example, try evacuating from Vero Beach across to Tampa.
There's no chargers right now. They're planned, but they're not there yet.
What if something like that happened? And do we have enough charging stations?
Nikki Fried is Florida's agriculture commissioner. So why is the agriculture commissioner in charge of electric vehicles in Florida?
Because underneath the Department of Agriculture here in the state of Florida, we have the Office of Energy.
And that's the office that put together the first ever EV roadmap in the state of Florida.
And your chargers on the driver's side.
They found while big cities have plenty of chargers, places like the Panhandle, where Hurricane Michael caused $25 billion in damage in 2018,
they're going to need some help.
Are major dead zones.
So if those individuals had EVs and had to get out of the Panhandle quickly, people may not have been able to evacuate.
And charge up to 6 EVs at a time.
Fried asked the state legislature for $840,000 to buy 12 portable solar chargers similar to these. Each one?
No, for all 12.
But the state of Florida said no. Money from the federal government is on the way, but right now, the gaps are everywhere.
So hopefully the legislature realizes this is an emergency and that this is something that we need to be putting the resources into.
Not everyone has the resources to charge at home. For example, Harlan's premium garage setup costs about
$28,000.
So not everybody can do this.
No. I saw one guy that posted on Facebook. He has a small generator that if he ever has to evacuate Florida, he's going to have to take the generator with him. And
oh my goodness.
That's all dangerous.
I personally wouldn't do that. Some people would, I guess.
It's not just Tesla, but companies like Florida Power and Light are installing these chargers all throughout the state. Despite that, there are still these dead zones. So the one takeaway is to plan ahead. In Lake City, Florida, Dave Malkoff, The Weather Channel.
I love you. We're going to find a way home. We all have people we want to get back to.
There are dangers there you will not be prepared for.
I don't care what we have to do. I just want my family back.
Shop Michaels today for our best sale of the season. Score big savings on canvas and frames and get 50% off fall floral, decor, and more. Plus, earn up to 6% in Michaels rewards. Now through October 1st. Michaels, made by you.
I still practice for what's next, even with higher stroke risk due to AFib not caused by a heart valve problem. So if there's a better treatment than warfarin, I like that too. Eliquis. Eliquis reduces stroke risk better than warfarin and has less major bleeding than warfarin. Eliquis has both.
Don't stop taking Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain medicines. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
The #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner. Ask your doctor about Eliquis.
Does your plug-in fade too fast? Try Febreze Fade Defy Plug. It has built-in technology to digitally control how much scent is released to smell first day fresh for 50 days. La 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 la.
So, how many vaccines have you given to people?
Me? About 1,000. Walgreens? Millions.
I cannot miss her big debut.
With your booster, I think you'll be there for every twirl.
Got a shot so my sister won't get sick.
Way to go, big bro.
So while we're here,
Flu shot as well?
let's do it.
When you need to talk vaccinations, our pharmacists are here.
Lily! Welcome to our third Barkery.
Oh, I can tell business is going through the roof.
But seriously, we need a reliable way to help keep everyone connected from wherever we go.
Well, and AT&T will help you find the right wireless plan for you, so you can stay connected to all your drivers and stores on America's most reliable 5G network.
That sounds just perfect.
Terrierific.
I Labrador you.
Round of applause.
AT&T 5G is fast, reliable, and secure for your business.
This is not a drill. For a limited time at Domino's, get 20% off everything at menu price when you order online. Pizza, 20% off. Specialty pizza, 20% off. Anything that's not pizza? Yep, you know the drill. Except it's not a drill. It's 20% off everything. Only at Domino's.
Yo, my name is Luis, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the different flavors that are hitting your mouth at every millisecond. You get the explosion and the zestiness of the chicken, then that spice just kicks in, and if you had that cilantro lime, perfection.
Hi, this is Becky, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is that marinade, they make sure that it is on the entire piece of chicken and not just on top. The pepper, whatever else is secret in their marinade, it's amazing.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Oopsies. You go.
No, you go.
Oh.
Go for the handful.
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel.
This is epic.
Trusted to be there where and when you need us. Trusted to work around the clock until every threat is over.
I want you to show you how powerful the winds are.
Because America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
Hurricane warning in effect for Grand Cayman there on the right, where it is gorgeous right now on 7 Mile Beach. The storm expected to pass nearby tomorrow night into the early Monday morning hours. Strong onshore winds could produce 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Meanwhile, Cancun, Mexico could see tropical storm force winds as early as Monday morning. So let's take a look right now at what we have with this Tropical Storm Ian right now. And you saw those clouds off of Cancun. There's just a few showers off the Yucatan, and then just a few clouds out there as well. So a gorgeous day for a lot of the Caribbean, except for right here. This tropical storm that looks like it is getting better organized here almost by the minute. And it would not be surprising because of where it's going. It's absolutely going into an area that is more conducive for development here. This is where the wind shear is, and you're like, hey, it's just another satellite. Well, there's something else going on. It's this right here. This is where the winds, if the storm was going into some of these areas, the winds would be kind of eating at it, making it more difficult for the storm to develop, but it's going away from that into a calmer environment, and an environment that has some very warm waters associated with it. And that is the forecast path, keeping it over these highly favorable areas for development. Going from a strong tropical storm tomorrow evening, the official forecast puts it 24 hours later almost at a Cat 3. So you're looking at a potentially very strong storm that will continue to organize and strengthen. The wind forecast with all of these models here, here's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday, Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all up here by either late Monday, overnight Tuesday, into that Cat 4 close to Cat 5. And the future radar kind of gives you an idea of how things may work out. Some showers, maybe tropical storm force winds for Jamaica. Here's Grand Cayman right here. There's the eye of what would be a hurricane by then, or very close to it, and then going over the western tip. That's one possible solution, one possible outcome. That may be how things play out. Rapid intensification is more likely, so that very strong from tropical storm to a strong Cat 2 in about a day here. More likely to happen this time of year, and more likely, Dr. Nab, to happen where it is and where it's going.
Yes, and so we are highly confident we're going to have a very significant major hurricane threat in the eastern Gulf of Mexico after the weekend. And we've got to get ready for it. And we got to talk about where it could go, because that is going to be the big question. And there's still a lot of uncertainty. I know we've been paying a lot of attention to the westward shift, but could it shift back to the east? Yes, that's a possibility. And I'm going to show you models compared to the cone. And there are plenty of ways that the center of the hurricane, eventual hurricane, could end up anywhere within this cone and even slightly outside of it. So let's take a look at the models. Here's that trough over the Great Lakes that is going to serve to pull this system northward through a gap in the ridge. Question is, how sharp is that turn and how fast Does it move to the north and then to the northeast? And does the trough leave it behind? And so could we have a slow-moving system into the southeastern U.S.? That's a possibility. You see that Euro solution is on the right-hand side of the cone. It's farther to the east, and it has a lot of alternative scenarios, as we call the ensemble members, and a lot of them are leaning east, but there are a few that are off to the west. But this has possibilities from the central Gulf to all the way off the east coast of Florida in 5 days. And a lot of possibilities with regard to the southeastern and mid-Atlantic U.S. into next weekend. Then we look at the GFS. This has the overall same sort of steering scenario. That trough pulls it through the gap in the ridge, comes into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But look how much farther west the main GFS run is, and most of its ensemble members are farther to the west than the collection of Euro members. But when you put all of that together, we've got possibilities from the north central Gulf to southwestern Florida for landfall, and a lot of places could be impacted. So when you look at the wind speed probabilities, what are the chances of getting hurricane force winds from Ian in the next 5 days? Anywhere from about Port St. Joe, Florida, to about Fort Myers, Florida. Anywhere along the coast there, you all have the same chances of getting hurricane force winds in the next 5 days, and you have the highest chances of anybody. But everybody in here needs to be preparing the same way for the possibility of hurricane force winds, and even there's non-zero chances outside of that. And there's even more of you who have more than a 1 in 3 shot of winds of tropical storm force. So we're going to watch the trends in these values, but realize that there are a lot of you that could eventually get the full brunt of this major hurricane. So don't tune out. Watch for changes in the forecast.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies Treats. Connect on a sweeter level.
Thank you, Nature Made, for seeing that life is a little chaotic and creating new targeted blends to help. So when our sleep, stress, and immune health are thrown off, new Nature Made Well blends can help us find balance.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Oopsies. You go.
No, you go.
Oh.
Go for the handful.
Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Liberty Mutual. They customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. And by switching, you could even save $652. Thank you, Liberty Mutual. Now, contestants ready? Go! Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Discover TheraTears, like no other dry eye drop in the world, with the 5 vital electrolytes found in natural tears. TheraTears is one-of-a-kind hydration that feels like silk. TheraTears, a drop like no other.
Hey, it's me, your dry skin. I'm craving something we're missing. The ceramides in CeraVe. They help restore my natural barrier so I can lock in moisture. We've got to have each other's backs.
CeraVe, now the #1 dermatologist-recommended skincare brand.
Dish makes TV easy. Now with all of your favorite live TV and streaming apps all in one place.
All right, here we go. Discovery Plus.
Dish, streaming and live TV all in one place.
If you shop at Walmart, you know you don't always have to go to the store. Because when you order on the Walmart app, everything you need is right at your fingertips. So no matter how you shop, you can spend a little less to get a little more, to make life a little better.
That was quick. And rewarding. I earned 3% cash back at drugstores with Chase Freedom Unlimited. That means I earn on my bug spray and my sunscreen. You ready to go fishing?
I got the bait.
I also earned 5% on travel purchased through Chase on this rental car. That lake is calling my name.
Don't you get seasick?
We'll find out. Come on. And I earned 3% on dining, including takeout.
So much for catching our dinner.
Some people are hunters, some are gatherers. I'm a diner.
Earn big time with Chase Freedom Unlimited with no annual fee. How do you cash back? Chase, make more of what's yours.
Well, well. Heard my baby sis is buying a car. You'll need my secret weapon.
Gross. No. Anyway, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. It was awesome. I found my car online and I got pre-qualified instantly.
Bet your credit score went.
Wasn't affected at all. Then I got my real rate monthly payment, had an amazing test drive at the dealer, and made this purchase.
What?
Hold on, check it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What's in your wallet?
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel. And America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
Are you watching the Weather Channel? We are tracking Ian, a tropical storm right now. The sun's going down, so we're starting to lose the visible satellite, which is such an important tool to give us clues as to what is happening with the storm. We have the clouds on a dark map that helps the fine features of the storm really stand out. And before we're losing complete daylight, as the sun gets lower, you can see some of these little, almost like little pimples on here, if you will. There's like little pieces of cauliflower. That's the vertical development of these storms, the overshooting tops. So some intense updrafts, signs of some stronger storms embedded within this. And then some of these thin, wispy clouds coming out of the storm, showing that it's kind of starting to breathe a little bit. So it's getting a little bit more organized. You're starting to see more of the pieces of the puzzle coming together. And still going through the storm right now, hurricane hunters are out investigating this tropical storm Ian, which is expected to go over favorable waters for development here and rapidly intensify, getting close to a Category 3 in about a day, and then getting to a Category 3 close to a 4 another day later. So this is going to be a storm that likely will develop very quickly and get strong very quickly. And notice how the cone gets wider with distance, because based on history, we know that it's much harder to forecast that 3, 4, 5 days out here. But what we do know is that, again, the conditions are favorable. You only need about 80 degrees of water. It's 88 degrees for that fuel for this storm to go over to become a hurricane, possibly a strong hurricane. Hurricane warnings for Grand Caymans, parts of the Grand Caymans. Also, tropical storm watches for the Cayman Islands. Again, Georgetown here, 7 Mile Beach right here. And if you drive out to less populated, some more exposed areas in here, gorgeous island there. You're talking about 102 square miles. So this, Dr. Nab, no tropical, no hurricane right now, but a hurricane warning. So Grand Cayman expecting hurricane conditions.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of intensification over the next 2 days in the western half of the Caribbean Sea. And legitimately, we're talking about the wind impacts that this could have internationally and in the U.S. And as a result, what storm surge could happen, what evacuations will likely be called because of storm surge. But there's the other water component of tropical cyclones that we have to really put forefront in our mind as well, and that is the rainfall-induced flood risk. The first in line will be the potential for local flash flooding and mudslides in places like Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Really concerned about western Cuba, all of the hazards, the wind, the storm surge, the heavy rainfall, and the flooding that could happen. And just look at the rainfall forecast in the next 5 days along the path. Look at western Cuba, Pinar del Rio, and the Isle of Youth. That area, even Havana, could get tremendous heavy rainfall. That's the Euro, the GFS, very similar. It's track dependent, but that is one of the big risks. But then what about in the continental U.S.? Florida will certainly be getting some heavy rain, and not just because of how strong the system will be. You know, a major hurricane is loaded with water, and it's always going to be a rain producer and potential rain-induced flood maker near the coast and inland. But I don't like how the lines get closer together here as we get into the middle and later part of next week. That's a slow forward motion as it goes near or over Florida, and you don't have to be anywhere near the center to be the center of action with regard to rain bands and heavy rainfall. So the Weather Prediction Center already highlighting the Florida Peninsula, Central Florida southward on Tuesday and Tuesday night, and then Wednesday that threat goes north, and this threat could go up and expand with time, and that's just through Wednesday night and Thursday. Look at the next 7 days. My goodness, how much rain could fall. Even if the Euro is not correct, and if it is, the northern half of the Florida Peninsula could get absolutely inundated with heavy rainfall-induced flooding. But even if the GFS is right with a farther track to the west, you could still get onshore flow into the peninsula, and then look what could happen up in the Panhandle and southeast portions of the U.S., Chris.
All right, and speaking of Florida, Dr. Knabb, we know Florida a huge place for people to retire to move to. It's gorgeous. Have you ever been to Florida? And this is some support for that, or kind of an example of that. The population change in the state of Florida, a 10-year period from 2010 to 2020. All of these greenish colors here, kind of that blue, green, or turquoise color, shows that it's anywhere from about 5, 10, 20, or even 40% increase in population. So if you move to Florida from, say, upstate New York or Ohio or the Twin Cities or North Dakota, and you're like, whoa, what? There could be a hurricane. What do we do? Well, first thing you got to do is, if you are asked to evacuate, get out. It's important to know where to go as well. How far do you need to go? That sort of a thing. So know where you are, know your zone, because when they issue evacuations, they'll say this zone, that zone, the other zone. FloridaDisaster.org. That's where you want to start. And some of the evacuation zones, just for example, A, B, B, C, D, E, F, L, and T. And notice also, it's not just the immediate coast. Look how far inland it goes for some of these, and that's a similar story going up the coast here into the Tampa-St. Pete area. So again, FloridaDisaster.org. We are tracking Tropical Storm Ian, expected to be a hurricane. Stay with us on the Weather Channel.
Some people like to talk into microphones. We prefer dropping them. The MDX Type S, a new era of premium performance.
Adam, looky what I got.
Is that the new iPhone 14 Pro?
Yep, with this amazing new camera. Smile.
And you got it on Verizon.
Even better. I got Verizon's new plan. Includes Apple One. That's Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, iCloud Plus.
I hear the acting's pretty good on that one.
So is the deal I got from Verizon. iPhone 14 Pro on them. You should get one. Ooh, selfie time.
Wow, you can hustle when you need to.
Get a new iPhone 14 Pro on us. And get it with One Unlimited for iPhone. Only on the network America relies on. Verizon.
Milk with your cereal with Fairlife. It's more like cereal with your ultra-filtered milk. With a creamy taste plus 50% more protein, 50% less sugar. Turn nutrition into nutrition. Fairlife ultra-filtered milk.
Okay, Jake from State Farm, I really want that personal price plan. Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez, I save my shrimp tails. I have a whole collection. I keep them in jars under my bed.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
She also plays piano.
Yeah.
With my feet.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
New Astapro Allergy, now available without a prescription. Astapro is the first and only 24-hour steroid-free spray. While other allergy sprays take hours, Astapro starts working in 30 minutes. So you can Astapro and go.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure complete balanced nutrition with 27 vitamins and minerals, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
Now that gas prices are so high, Domino's is giving you 20% off all menu prices when you order online for a limited time. So hurry and take advantage of these low prices. I mean, high prices, which mean low prices. You get the deal. 20% off menu prices on everything for now at Domino's.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-400-6949. That's 1-800-400-6949. 1-800-400-6949.
Stronger surge and stronger storms makes a stronger hurricane season. You know what else is getting stronger? The #1 most trusted TV news network, the Weather Channel. Now available for anyone to stream on the new and improved TV app. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
Currently in our area, 69 degrees under sunny skies. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy. A few sprinkles possible late. Low 59. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Sunday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. High 76. Chance of rain 60%. Sunday night, thunderstorms early. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. Low 62. Chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on the Weather Channel as we are tracking Tropical Storm Ian, soon to be a hurricane, probably a major hurricane not long after that. And we're taking your questions. So, Chris, we want to see what folks are asking us on social media. A lot of questions coming in, and legitimately so. This is a serious threat with a lot of individual concerns.
And there are still a lot of questions that need to be resolved also just with the forecast. But Aaron here, Bay County, Florida, wondering if the storm continues a bit more west to the Yucatan Peninsula. Will it be pushed more toward us again? Michael hit nearly 4 years ago to the date, 10/10/18, so less than 2 weeks from our disaster anniversary.
Well, as painful as it is to say, Bay County, Florida is one of the places that could receive a major hurricane next week. That is a possibility, but it is one of many, many possibilities, and I know how difficult it is to be recovering from one hurricane and preparing for another, but that is the reality that we face. Now, do the westward shifts mean that the center of the cone is going to keep going farther this way and then it's going to lock on to Bay County and then never move again? No, that's not what we're saying. That is one possibility, but it is also a possibility that things shift farther to the east. I'm just as concerned about people in Naples and Fort Myers.
Something I think also is important to note when you look at the cone, notice, say, Tuesday p.m., the cone's going to be a lot skinnier going into the United States at Tuesday.
Yes.
Right? So we'll have a much
idea.
better idea.
Yeah, so when we are talking 4 and 5 days out, a lot of possibilities are on the table, and so we have to give everybody a heads up that they could be receiving the full brunt of a major hurricane. But when you look at the ensembles, and what these basically are is a number of different possible scenarios based on one modeling system, and if you look at all the possible tracks, the entire state of Florida could end up getting the center of this, conceivably. Now, the chances are greater, kind of in the middle of all this within the cone, but it could even go outside the cone, Chris. So what I would say to folks who are in Bay County, who are in Tampa, who are in Fort Myers, any of these areas where they could potentially get the direct impacts of a major hurricane is make preliminary preparations, things that can be used later, buy supplies that you can use later, do things that can easily be undone, just go preliminarily, but don't fuss too much over what one model run does or what one forecast cycle does. There's a long way to go here, and a lot of people at risk, and a lot of people need to prepare.
And now Matt from Eastern North Carolina asks, are we in the clear from this storm? And Dr. Knapp, I want to add something to this too. Matt Sullivan asking here, we could say, is the state in the clear? Because really, doesn't all the coastal states and southern states, because of the inland flood threat, need to be aware after landfall?
Absolutely. So maybe or maybe not, you get an East Coast landfall. Maybe not. You could end up getting a Gulf Coast landfall, but still North Carolina gets affected. So there's a lot of different ways that North Carolina could be affected to a number of different degrees, with different hazards being front and center depending on what the scenario is.
From Asheville to New Bern, right? I mean, we're talking the possibility that you could have flooding and or still winds in parts of eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, so let me paint the picture of what could happen in the southeastern U.S. in general terms. So here's out to 5 days. Now, after that, it could go inland in the Gulf, it could go across Florida, and then inland in the southeast coast, or something in between. And we're already talking about the possibility of localized flooding in Florida on Tuesday and into Wednesday. But that just takes you up to the Florida-Georgia state line. But there is a risk of impacts later on. If you look 7 days, now you start to bring in places north of Florida for the potential for locally heavy rainfall. And then when you look farther north than that, let's look at those ensembles again, Chris, because in the next 5 days, will North Carolina be affected? Probably not. But after that time, you could, if any of these systems in the right side of the cone, some of them coming in from the Gulf side, some of them crossing Florida coming in from the Atlantic, any of these could involve a slow-moving system that brings possibly a storm or hurricane making landfall, or if it comes the inland route, a inland flood, rain-induced inland flood threat, say late next week and early next weekend.
I mean, you tune into the Weather Channel and we're talking Florida, but that conversation is going to shift.
Absolutely.
In the coming days as well.
Yeah, the system is not going to stop at the state of Florida and just go away. That's unlikely. It is likely to go farther north, either over an inland path or by going out over the Atlantic. But anywhere, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, all of these areas need to be staying up to date on what the forecast is and be ready to take action later next week. If it comes your way. You are not out of the woods in North Carolina, but you have plenty of time to preliminarily prepare and to watch the changes in the forecast.
All right, Dr. Knabb and I have plenty of time to answer your questions, so send them our way. We'll do our best to get them answered for you during the next hour on the Weather Channel TV and on the Weather Channel streaming app from 8 to 9.
Shingles. Some describe it as pulsing electric shocks or sharp stabbing pains. This painful blistering rash can disrupt your life for weeks. A pain so intense, you could miss out on family time. The virus that causes shingles is likely already inside of you. If you're 50 years or older, ask your doctor or pharmacist about shingles.
Moderate to severe eczema still disrupts my skin. Despite treatment, it disrupts my skin with itch. It disrupts my skin with rash. But now, I can disrupt eczema with Rinvoq. Rinvoq is not a steroid, topical, or injection. It's one pill once a day that's effective without topical steroids. Many taking Rinvoq saw clear or almost clear skin, while some saw up to 100% clear skin. Plus, they felt fast itch relief, some as early as 2 days. That's Rinvoq relief.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer. Death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Disrupt the itch and rash of eczema. Talk to your doctor about Rinvoq.
Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
More truck owners are switching to Ram, which means more fathers are switching to Ram.
Your body's changing.
And more sons, more tailgaters, more tail waggers, more men with a lot of confidence.
Easy.
And more with not so much.
Yeah, I'm not going to fit in there.
And more guys who check straps with a firm tug and say,
that ain't going anywhere,
are switching to Ram.
Right now, during Ram Power Days, get 0% financing for 72 months on our most popular models.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Oopsies. You go.
No, you go.
Oh.
Go for the handful.
New Superstay Vinyl Ink from Maybelline, New York. Shake up your long wear with no budge vinyl color. Color lock formula. Up to 16-hour wear. New Superstay Vinyl Ink, Maybelline, New York.
New Astapro Allergy, now available without a prescription. Astapro is the first and only 24-hour steroid-free spray. While other allergy sprays take hours, Astapro starts working in 30 minutes. So you can Astapro and go.
Save yourself. Money with Farmers?
That's not wrong. When you bundle your home and auto policies with Farmers, you save yourself up to 20%.
That's something.
Get a whole lot of something with Farmers. Kind of creepy.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Make this worth your while, Peloton. All the classes and endless motivation to keep you coming back. That's why 91% of households that join Peloton are still active 12 months later. Motivation that moves you. See for yourself at onepeloton.com.
Tracking Ian on the Weather Channel as we track this tropical storm. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren alongside our hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb, and people already taking advantage of the time to prepare. These residents in Southwest Florida know that now is the time to do things like go to the store, get the water, get the non-perishable food in case you lose power, get to the gas station, top off your tank, get gas for your generator, make sure it's working and dialed in if you have one. Meanwhile, the hurricane hunters are on the move out, getting the latest information on the storm and gathering data that will help make the forecast better. Another team is headed into the storm right now. Of course, we don't know the final destination of Tropical Storm Ian, which is expected to be a hurricane, possibly a strong major hurricane. We don't know that final destination yet. We do know it is expected to strengthen as it approaches the Cayman Islands, where a hurricane warning is in effect there. Beautiful shot there, live look on the bottom right now. That is expected to change. With that, we want to begin with our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, with the latest. And Dr. Knabb, did anything surprise you today with this storm, the way it has developed, or any of the forecasts?
So far, in general, it's playing out like we thought it would, looking back a couple days ago. Maybe, it went a little farther south as it was trying to form its center. But, these formative depressions and storms can be a little erratic. But now it's getting more concentrated. The convection right over the center, it's starting to have that look.
Right,
it really is.
Yeah.
It's starting to look menacing, even though it's currently a tropical storm with max winds of 45 miles an hour. Let me show you the visible imagery here in a little bit of just how different it looks than a day or two ago and why it is so poised to get so much stronger. There again, the hurricane warning for Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, there under the tropical storm watch. It's amazing how 75 miles of separation between those islands makes the difference between what you're going to get. But here are those islands. Here's Jamaica up in here, getting some bands that could cause some flash floods and mudslides. But if we back out a little bit, you'll see how we have very concentrated convection during the day today. The center of circulation is underneath all of that instead of being exposed with a sheared system like we saw yesterday. So the wind shear with Fiona's departure and its outflow hassling Ian has gone away. And now we see very well-defined upper-level outflow taking shape, and it's starting to get some curvature to the banding, and the wind shear is just really on the decrease. Look at this upper level outflow in all directions. It hindered a little bit on the east side, but the wind shear is really tanking. It's really going down, and it's headed toward extremely warm waters over the Northwest Caribbean and the Eastern Gulf that are way warmer than average for this time of year. We haven't had any storms up to this point to churn up the ocean like we have in the East Pacific, and this is the really big problem. The deep reservoir of really warm water, once it gets past Jamaica, everywhere in there in the Northwest Caribbean is extremely warm water. Chris will detail how rapid intensification could play out here in a little bit, but the latest forecast from the Hurricane Center making it on the doorstep of Cat 4 even before it leaves the Northwest Caribbean. So it doesn't need time over the southeastern Gulf to get stronger. It's already going to be really strong. So we have a major hurricane threat that is going to be moving over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, the state of Florida, certainly at significant risk. And all of you from, not far from Panama City to not far from Naples are about the same chances of getting hurricane force winds in the next 5 days. So a lot of people in a similar risk zone. That's why we just can't pinpoint. But Chris, we could have tropical storm force winds arriving if they arrive in Key West Tuesday morning, west coast of Central Florida later on Tuesday. That means 2 days earlier from that, tomorrow is when hurricane watches or tropical storm watches could start being issued.
And Dr. Knabb, with Ian getting stronger in the Caribbean, Jamaica's prime minister is urging residents to take the time now to prepare.
I'm appealing to all Jamaicans, please be prepared. Do whatever little shopping you can do to have a little food preparation just in case. Put aside your important documents, put them in a safe place. Look at your surroundings to see if there are any trees or any limbs that might be potentially destructive to your home, and take the necessary action. Make sure that you have potable water, drinking water set aside, and batteries, flashlight.
And that's great advice no matter where you are here in the Caribbean and in coastal areas in the U.S. and possibly even well inland. The storm, again, it's a tropical storm. The winds are expected to get stronger. The storm is expected to intensify. In fact, rapid intensification is expected with this. And it's going, you see, right over the highly favorable waters here of the Caribbean Sea, Jamaica, and very close to Grand Cayman. It is expected to strengthen and get stronger to a hurricane very quickly. A lot of very warm water. There's a lot of moisture, of course. You go to Mexico or you go to Grand Cayman or Jamaica this time of year, it's hot, it is humid, there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. Also, we're seeing some of the nearby winds favorable to the point where it can help remove some of the air in the storm to help the storm kind of breathe, if you will, and grow and get even stronger. Here's some of the possible paths right over these highly favorable conditions for development, including the water temperatures. You need around 80 degrees, and there's 87, 88, 88 along the whole possible path of this. And the intensity forecast, as of now, subject to change, but when all of them are taking it up to that 130 mile per hour plus, Cat 4 timing Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So by early next week, Dr. Knabb, we're looking at the potential for a major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, so if you're a Hurricane Center forecaster, you'd be foolish not to forecast a major hurricane over the eastern Gulf when you've got the atmospheric and ocean conditions and all the guidance telling you that that's what's going to happen.
And I guess that's what next question is there anything that you can point to if you wanted to provide some evidence that it's not going to do any of those things?
I just can't find where that would be. The only thing it would be is if the storm itself, for reasons we don't fully understand and can't predict, doesn't take advantage of those ocean and atmospheric conditions, and structurally, internally, it just doesn't do that. But Chris, I don't see any evidence of that given the way the storm is looking today.
So our Hail Mary for this, as we talked about earlier, would have to be something that we haven't thought of. Is that what you're saying? Something that would be unexpected.
It would be a pretty unusual scenario for everything to be conducive for the formation of a hurricane and a major hurricane, and then for that not to happen. I think we're getting to the point now where what's really important to do is not to find a way that this doesn't happen, but find a way to keep ourselves safe, given that it is probably going to happen, and somebody's going to take the full brunt of a significant system here. Is we just don't know, Chris, exactly who it's going to be, but we know how many of you are at risk and how many of you need to be preparing starting now.
All right, so we know the storm's getting stronger. There's nothing that tells us that it's not going to continue to get stronger, so it's going to keep getting stronger. How strong remains to be seen. Guidance is saying Cat 3, Cat 4, could be up to a Cat 5. What about where it's going? That is such a huge, huge question now. And what are you looking at for confidence in where you think it's going to go?
Well, I sure would like to see more agreement in the models than we currently have out to day 4 and 5. But let me show you how much spread there is and disagreement there is amongst the various model scenarios, and then what the forecasters and the Weather Service and NOAA are trying to do about that problem. Now, we have a wider cone at days 4 and 5 because historically it's harder to forecast where a storm's going to go that far in advance. But at least this cone is narrower than it used to be in decades past, but we can't even guarantee that it will stay within the cone. Now, why are we confident that it's coming into the Eastern Gulf, but not confident on the details? Well, it has to do with where Ian is going to be going relative to this middle upper level low pressure trough system that's coming into the Great Lakes. They're going to meet up. They're going to influence one another. And here it is in the models, and you'll see how this trough deepening over the next couple days over the eastern U.S. opens up a gap in the high pressure ridge to the north. It's currently steering it westward, and that's going to bring it northward. So we're confident it's going over the northwestern Caribbean where it will likely strengthen, and we're confident it's going to get into the Eastern Gulf. Now, here's where the disagreements begin. The European model has a track that's farther to the east, right along the Gulf Coast of the Florida Peninsula, and then it gets left behind by that trough as a slow mover into southern Georgia. But if you look at the ensembles, what are those? Those are the alternative scenarios in the same modeling system. Out to day 5, they're anywhere from the central Gulf to off the east coast of northern Florida, anywhere in between. That's all different parts of the cone and even parts outside of it. That's the Euro ensemble. And then if you look at the GFS ensemble, and again, the U.S. global modeling system, it has a main model run that is farther to the west that aims at the Florida Panhandle. But look at its ensembles, central Gulf to west coast of Florida. It's farther to the west. So, Chris, when we combine the impacts of looking at that much spread among our two major modeling systems, that's why it is too early to call what part of Florida this could make a landfall in.
Yeah, and because of that, of course, in Florida, state of emergency, parts of the state of Florida has been declared here. Plenty of residents in Orlando are doing the right thing, of course, by preparing right now for what may be ahead. They started packing up sandbags as we do anticipate plenty of rain across the Sunshine State in the days to come. Meanwhile, we spoke to residents in Tampa who are hitting the gas pumps in grocery stores.
Saturday. I don't play around with a Cat 3, and all the spaghetti models is running it right into there. If it takes a turn, then good for us. We got boards for the next one, but I'm not taking no chances this time.
Great point. Be prepared now in case it happens, and if it doesn't happen, you're prepared for the next one because you're in an area where it's just a matter of time. This is the cone zoomed in here, and Thursday evening right here all the way across, and look at that. From really, because Dr. Knapp just mentioned that historically speaking, the forecast can go outside of the cone. That would put even Alabama, coastal Alabama possibly in play here, and still parts of South Florida, and we're talking about potentially a Cat 4 hurricane. That is possible. Again, the intensity will be worked out in time, and this cone will get skinnier in time as well as we get closer to the timing of when the storm is going to be closer to land. So closer in time and closer to land, we're going to have a much better idea of where it's going to go. As far as the probability of tropical storm winds over the next 5 days, takes it still over the water is where there's that 90% chance. But eventually that's going to change. Right? Eventually, this is going to be touching land somewhere, but exactly where, again, still remains to be seen. But this right here, just think of this as you got to be ready. You got to start thinking about the possibility that you could end up being in the orange. Right? So at this point, when we're within that 5-day window of making landfall in some areas here, maybe even sooner if it goes this way, you eventually could be in that higher category for having to deal with hurricane force winds. Now, rain is going to be a huge factor as well. So heavy rain with these tropical systems, especially as big as it's possibly going to be. The threat for flash flooding throughout a good portion of next week. This is the European forecast model. And with the meat of the storm here, if it were to take the track that the Euro thinks it's going to take, then you're looking at some serious heavy rainfall. The GFS, again, a little bit farther to the west of the heavier rain. And just remember, as the storm comes on shore, so will this. So will a lot of that very heavy rain. So the threat from water coming out of the sky is a big one, especially in these highly urbanized areas. The water can really fill up the earth in a hurry, Dr. Nab. But we also have to look to the ocean as well for a possible threat for flooding.
Yeah, storm surge historically is the biggest killer in landfalling hurricanes. And if we knew exactly where Ian was going to go as a hurricane and major hurricane, then we could call for evacuations and tell you when you need to be out, and we would be able to keep those to a minimum in terms of who evacuates. But problem is, we got to call for evacuations, the emergency managers do, before we know exactly where it's going to go. And I promised you that I would tell you what's being done to try to lessen the spread in the models, lessen the uncertainty. And just briefly, the NOAA G4 jet is circumnavigating the tropical storm right now and dropping dropsons into the atmosphere to try to get the models into better agreement. And so that tool has proven in the past to lessen the errors in the forecast models. Now, when it comes to storm surge, the saltwater flooding coming on a normally dry ground, this is what we have to evacuate for. We got to get people out before the winds of tropical storm force arrive, because by that time it's too dangerous to be making preparations and driving on the roads. So that's why it's important to know when those winds might arrive. Tuesday morning into Tuesday night in the southwestern to west central portion of the Gulf Coast of Florida, Wednesday morning farther north. So emergency managers, if they call evacuations, might tell you need to be out by a certain time. And a lot of this will be predicated on the timing of the arrival of tropical storm force winds. But you need to know what evacuation zone you live in case emergency managers call for a particular evacuation zone to be evacuated. So find out today if you live in an evacuation zone in the state of Florida by going to floridadisaster.org. And let me show you why you need to go look this up, because you might think this is just a beachfront problem. I can't see the Gulf. But the problem is storm surge can make the Gulf come see you. So you might be surprised to find out just how far inland these evacuation zones go, not just in southwest Florida, Fort Myers, Naples, but all the way up through Venice, Sarasota, Bradenton, and into the Tampa Bay and Clearwater areas. So go to that address, find out if you live in an evacuation zone. But that's just step number one. You also need to decide now where you'd go and how you'd get there if told to evacuate. And if you don't live in an evacuation zone, work it out with someone who does live in one of those zones and be their inland destination.
Hitting the road? Not all 5G networks are created equal. T-Mobile covers more highway miles with 5G than Verizon. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Curiosity pushes you forward. It's what inspired Meiomi to create an unrivaled wine using the best from California to push flavor in new directions for a taste like no other. Meiomi, flavor forward.
Your mission, stand up to moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis.
Or active psoriatic arthritis.
And take it on with Rinvoq.
Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that tackles pain, stiffness, swelling.
For some, Rinvoq significantly reduces RA and PSA fatigue. It can stop irreversible joint damage.
And Rinvoq can leave skin clear, or almost clear, in PSA. That's Rinvoq Relief.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Ask your rheumatologist about Rinvoq Relief. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. Learn how AbbVie could help you save on Rinvoq.
I'm here to find my family.
Where the hell are we?
Welcome home.
This is John. He hasn't worked this hard to only get this far with his cholesterol. Taken with a statin, Leqvio can lower bad cholesterol and keep it low with 2 doses a year.
Side effects were injection site reaction, joint pain, urinary tract infection, diarrhea, chest cold, pain in legs or arms, and shortness of breath. With Leqvio, lowering cholesterol becomes just one more thing life throws your way. Ask your doctor about Leqvio. Lower, longer, Leqvio.
I'm still riding toward what's next, even with higher stroke risk due to AFib not caused by a heart valve problem. So if there's a better treatment than warfarin, that's the trail I want to take. Eliquis. Eliquis reduces stroke risk better than warfarin and has less major bleeding than warfarin. Eliquis has both.
Don't stop taking Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. Get help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain medicines. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
The #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner. Ask your doctor about Eliquis.
Please pay attention to the forecast.
The Weather Channel,
America's most trusted TV news network.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-400-6949. That's 1-800-400-6949. 1-800-400-6949.
Currently in our area, 68 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy. A few sprinkles possible late. Low 59. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. High 75. Chance of rain 50%. Sunday night, thunderstorms early. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. Low 61. Chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Stronger winds, stronger surge, and stronger storms makes a stronger hurricane season. You know what else is getting stronger? The #1 most trusted TV news network, the Weather Channel. Now available for anyone to stream on the new and improved TV app.
This is epic!
With real-time radar and maps to track all the action. Trust the strength in numbers. The Weather Channel, available on these platforms. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
A tropical storm Ian gaining strength in the Caribbean, putting Jamaica and Tampa, Florida on alert. Heavy rain could bring some flash flooding and mudslides to parts of Jamaica, while Tampa, we know, is extremely vulnerable to landfalling systems. And with that, of course, both areas gorgeous right now, Dr. Nab. The sunshine low on the horizon. You look here in Jamaica, the little bit of palm tree just for effect there. See some of the cumulus clouds off in the distance, but the glow, the color. Unfortunately, some tropical storm conditions are expected here. Certainly a possibility for Jamaica. But when all said and done, I think, Dr. Nab, you know, if you say, give me tropical storm or whatever else it could be, tropical storm might be getting off easy with this one.
Yeah, the biggest concern in Jamaica the next day or so would be those easterly flow banding coming on the north
huge,
side.
heavy showers.
Yeah,
right?
it could get some flash flooded mudslides in localized areas, but, you know, they're not going to take the full brunt of this one. But Cayman Islands under a hurricane warning in Grand Cayman, a tropical storm watch up in Cayman Brac. And you've got the center down in here, and here's Jamaica, and you can see how we have some spotty, heavy showers moving in that northern side. So that's the concern, the rain-induced floods and mudslides. But here's the Cayman Islands. Here's Grand Cayman, and you know, it's beautiful there right now, but conditions will be deteriorating tomorrow as this moves on in and it moves over the northwestern Caribbean and takes advantage of the weak wind shear and the warm waters and probably rapidly intensifies to the point where, even though it's a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm right now, could be a hurricane soon enough over the next day or so to bring hurricane conditions to Grand Cayman. That's why they're under the hurricane warning, and the timing is such here in Grand Cayman. It could be late tomorrow evening when the winds of tropical storm force arrive. So you got about a day to get ready for hurricane conditions there. And then western Cuba, you know, by Monday afternoon, evening, could have hurricane conditions there, so that you might see a hurricane watch come out from Cuba there. And then what about the Gulf Coast of Florida? If tropical storm force winds arrive in Key West, that would be like Tuesday morning. In Naples, Fort Myers, it could be Tuesday evening, and up in Tampa late Tuesday into early Wednesday, and going north from there. So that means we could be getting watches issued for Florida tomorrow, 2 days in advance of that. But what are the chances that that will be necessary? It's going to be borderline in Key West, but the chances are pretty high of at least a tropical storm watch and then warning for this area of Florida. But Chris, we could also have hurricane watches issued tomorrow.
And Dr. Knapp, we know September is typically peak time here for hurricanes, and we've partnered with T-Mobile to bring you the science behind how hurricanes begin so that you can stay connected and be prepared. Meteorologist Alex Wilson has more.
A tropical storm is organizing off the coast. Residents are getting alerts on their connected devices. Crews are busy preparing for what's to come. And the hurricane hunters are heading out on another mission, collecting the data we'll need to understand why this storm is quickly getting stronger and more dangerous. Let's dive into the science behind hurricanes. 500 miles from the coast, on an ocean platform near the center of the tropical storm, winds are really picking up. Now, if they increase at least 35 miles per hour within 24 hours, we will reach the criteria for rapid intensification. Most of the strongest hurricanes go through rapid intensification at some point. It looks like the winds are now gusting over 100 miles per hour, much stronger than 24 hours ago, and it appears we might be entering the eye. Wow, look at this. We are now in the eye. These clouds are over 10 miles tall, nearly twice as tall as Mount Everest. And believe it or not, winds are light, the sky is clearing. This is because at the top of the thunderstorms, air is converging towards the center of the storm and is being forced downward. That sinking motion prevents clouds from forming and warms the atmosphere. Adding to that, within the eye wall, more heat is being released in these thunderstorms as rising water vapor condenses into rain. Now, all of this warming in the inner core lowers the barometric pressure, which in turn drives up the strong winds. When all of these processes work efficiently under ideal conditions, a storm is able to rapidly intensify. And this has been happening more frequently, in part because climate change is warming the ocean, and hotter water provides more energy to fuel these massive storms. This can be especially dangerous when rapid intensification occurs shortly before landfall. Instead of dealing with a tropical storm, now a Category 3 hurricane is possible, capable of 40 times more damage. People are now at greater risk to strong winds and storm surge, but there may no longer be time to evacuate. That is why it is more important than ever to use the technology available to you to stay connected to the forecast, family, and friends, and to heed evacuation warnings ahead of any storm that threatens.
Presented by T-Mobile. Stay connected this fall with more 5G bars in more places. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Hitting the road? Not all 5G networks are created equal. T-Mobile covers more highway miles with 5G than Verizon. T-Mobile has more 5G bars in more places than anyone. Another reason T-Mobile is the leader in 5G.
Shingles. Some describe it as an intense burning sensation or an unbearable itch. This painful, blistering rash can disrupt your life for weeks. It could make your workday feel impossible. The virus that causes shingles is likely already inside of you. If you're 50 years or older, ask your doctor or pharmacist about shingles.
Thanks.
Jake from State Farm, I really need to know.
Go spicy or go home, right?
What? No. What if I'm not sure I have the right coverage for my car?
Oh, your agent can help me make sure it's just what you need.
What if I accidentally hit a food truck and it gets covered in empanadas?
You can file a claim on the app. At State Farm, we're there for your what-ifs.
Thanks.
Oh.
That is too spicy. That's for you.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
It's Macy's VIP sale with an extra 30% off top designer looks. Plus 15% off fragrances, skincare, makeup, and more. Now at Macy's. Meet Google Pixel 6a, the smarter phone that can see in the dark with Night Sight, fix your photos with Magic Eraser, and photograph all skin tones accurately with Real Tone. Google Pixel 6a. Save up to $150 on an unlocked Pixel 6a with qualified activation.
Feeling supported, bad vibes stored it. This is Activia Plus. CDs ain't no need to think, head over heels, get A+ feels. Activia Plus with nutrients to help support your immune system. Start with Activia. Your gut is where it all begins.
Whether you're looking to buy something on the small side, or the medium side, or, wow, that's really big, Zillow Home Loans can get you the mortgage you need so you can get the home you want. For financing made simple, there's no place like Zillow.
United Healthcare offers low to no-cost coverage options to fit virtually any budget. So access to care may be closer than you think with United Healthcare. Learn more at uhc.com.
Shop Michaels today for our best sale of the season. Score big savings on canvas and frames and get 50% off fall floral, decor, and more. Plus, earn up to 6% in Michaels Rewards. Now through October 1st. Michaels, made by you.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Kellogg's Rice Krispies Treats. Connect on a sweeter level.
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel.
This is epic.
Trusted to be there where and when you need us. Trusted to work around the clock until every threat is over.
I'm going to show you how powerful the winds are.
Because America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
We're tracking Ian on the Weather Channel. A hurricane warning in effect for Grand Cayman, where Ian is expected to pass by tomorrow. And looking good now, though. I mean, the sun's going down, some nice hues in the sky on the right, and then Cancun also checking out you as well. A few thunderstorms off in the distance. But as far as Grand Cayman goes, could be a couple to maybe even 4 feet of storm surge. Meanwhile, Cancun could have tropical storm force winds as early as Monday morning. So right now, I want to get you up to date with what we're looking at. Now, I say that showing you the satellite ending at 4 because this is before we lost all of the visible aspect of this, because the visible satellite uses reflected light from the sun back to space, no longer the sun. But we're showing you this because it's really getting organized. It's starting to get that look here that it is getting into more favorable conditions, and that is the case. All this, you barely kind of make out like some lavender colors in there, and that's part of the story. The fact that there isn't a lot of wind shear, a lot of unfavorable conditions. So it's getting away from that, getting into an environment where it is going to be easy, unfortunately, for it to develop and get stronger. For tropical systems, about 80 degrees is what you need. What do we have? 87, 88, 88, and this is deep warm water. So as the storm moves and churns it up, it's not bringing up cooler water. It's going to stay warm because it is deep. Here's the forecast cone, taking it up either off the western side of Cuba or splitting the Yucatan in Cuba and getting right into the Gulf. But from South Florida to the Panhandle, for now, of course, this can change. If it tracks more to the west, could bring more states into play. If it tracks more to the east, again, this is based on forecasts going out all the way to next Thursday. So the timing for this is we get through time, say, on Tuesday morning, the narrow part of the cone is going to be up here. So we'll have a much better idea of where it's going to go. How strong it's going to be when it gets there also remains to be seen. But what we are seeing with a lot of the forecast models is the potential for this to be a major hurricane, and that's right here. And it's possibly getting up to a Cat 4, maybe even a Cat 5. Here's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you see that by Monday into Tuesday, that's the big uptick. Even from Sunday into Monday, you're going to be popping possibly up to or close to a Category 3. So there's nothing that says it's not going to happen, right, Dr. Nab? Right. But then, of course, the big question, where's it going to go? I mean, at this point, everybody's just got to be ready to go, right?
Yeah. Now, at least we know generally where it's going to go. This is not going to the Western Gulf. This is going to the Eastern Gulf. Now, right, maybe edging to the Central, but we have some idea where it's going to go. But specifics are what really drive decision making, right?
And in the grand scheme of things, like the worst of the weather around the eye, I mean, that's going to be which we're going to get down to which county is it going to be in?
Yeah, but there are so many counties, so many people at essentially equal risk that we have to alert a large number of folks at this stage to prepare equally. So let's talk about who's at risk and why there is still a lot of uncertainty in this forecast of what's currently a tropical storm that is going to go through the Northwest Caribbean, and it's going to go over the eastern half of the Gulf of Mexico somewhere. But look how wide that cone is. That's based on historical errors. That is always the same size all season long based on the past 5 years of errors. But then you look specific scenarios, and the actual forecast is driven by what the models are showing. Now, I wanted to show you the previous forecast from the Hurricane Center. You see Pensacola is not in the cone there. West Palm Beach is, for example. And then at 5 p.m. today, that track shifted a little bit to the west. Now Pensacola is in the cone. Now West Palm Beach is out. But does out of the cone mean out of the woods? Absolutely not, because 1/3 of the time the system goes outside the cone, and even if it stays within the cone, the impacts can go outside of the cone. But it gives you an idea of we had a pretty subtle shift to the west. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this westward shift in the forecast and the models over the last day or two. And one of the reasons is that the GFS, a key global model and modeling system that's used, has shifted to the west, and its main run is aimed toward the western Florida Panhandle, but it has ensembles that are a little farther to the west, but it has ensemble members that are farther to the east. But then you have to weigh that versus what the European ensemble is showing. And I want to show you that because the Euro model, the main run, and its ensemble members, its alternative scenarios, are a lot farther to the east. So could the official track from the Hurricane Center and the eventual path of the storm continue to shift west? Yes, that's possible. Could it shift back to the east? That is also possible. A lot of you inside and outside of the cone still need to watch closely.
Some people like to talk into microphones. We prefer dropping them. The MDX Type S, a new era of premium performance.
New Astapro Allergy. No allergy spray is faster. With the speed of Astapro, almost nothing can slow you down. Because Astapro starts working in 30 minutes, while other allergy sprays take hours. And Astapro is the first and only 24-hour steroid-free allergy spray. Now without a prescription. Astapro and go.
What did I miss?
She took her first steps.
Can she do it again? I missed it. I stepped away from the bowl for 2 seconds.
There it is. Back on top. Whoa, what happened? Oh, you missed that. Probably shouldn't have left.
Tostitos. Get to the good stuff.
I've been telling everyone, the secret to great teeth is having healthy gums.
Keep yours healthy with Crest Advanced Gum Restore. It's clinically proven to detoxify below the gum line. And it restores by helping heal gums in as little as 7 days.
Because you can't have a healthy smile without healthy gums.
Advanced Gum Restore from Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
Adam, looky what I got.
Is that the new iPhone 14 Pro?
Yep, with this amazing new camera. Smile.
And you got it on Verizon.
Even better. I got Verizon's new plan. Includes Apple One. That's Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, iCloud Plus.
I hear the acting's pretty good on that one.
So is the deal I got from Verizon. iPhone 14 Pro on them. You should get one. Ooh, selfie time.
Wow, you can hustle when you need to.
Get a new iPhone 14 Pro on us. And get it with one unlimited for iPhone. Only on the network America relies on. Verizon.
Another busy day? Of course. You're a CIO in 2022, but you're ready because you've got the next generation in global secure networking from Comcast Business with fully integrated security solutions all in one place. So you're covered, on-premise and in the cloud. You can run things the way you want. Your team, ours, or a mix of both with the nation's largest IP converged network from the most innovative company. Bring on today with Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
From out of the blue, every room can be more innovative. With some of that, and a whole lot of this. Meet our exclusive dent and scratch resistant Stainmaster laminate. Check out our most innovative products, only at Lowe's.
It's a fact. No other news network out there is trusted more than the Weather Channel. And America doesn't trust hurricane season to just anyone.
And right now we are tracking Tropical Storm Ian, and the hurricane hunters are flying this right now, gathering the very latest information. And all that information goes into helping make the forecast better. This is the current forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Center of the storm forecast to go somewhere within here, possibly just outside of it. Notice the confidence is better early in it. Traditionally, or historically, I should say, that the forecast errors are a lot more, which is pretty typical later in time. So the closer we get to the storm, getting closer to the U.S., the better we're going to know how strong it's going to be and where it's ultimately going to go. We know the potential for it to be very strong is there. Waters are definitely warm enough. They're deep as well. And we're going to see the storm head into to the northwest, west, and then up to the northwest. Hurricane warning in effect, so expecting hurricane conditions, Grand Cayman. Tropical storm watches, so it's possible. Certainly some heavy rain for some of the Cayman Islands and for Jamaica. It's possible, no longer in a watch, though. And as far as Grand Cayman goes, this is an area with 102 square miles. From end to end, from Georgetown, where the airport is, all the way out to the east end, you're looking at 22 miles, 8 miles across at its widest point here. So a lot of water you see surrounding it as well, and pretty low in elevation. And some of the other Cayman Islands here, of course, there's Grand Cayman and Little Cayman and Cayman Brac as well. Population 65,000. Most of those people are in Grand Cayman. So that's first up here. And then we're looking to Cuba. It's possible the storm's going to head this way. And, you know, you hear us talk a lot about land interaction with tropical systems. Well, this is pretty low lying, so it shouldn't do a whole lot to the storm, however strong it is at the time. And we are, Dr. Knapp, expecting this to be a strong, possibly a major hurricane approaching the United States. But as far as exactly where it goes, still a very tough call. But the fact that it's heading to the Gulf, don't like that.
Yeah, and we talk legitimately so about the winds and the storm surge and all the other hazards, but sometimes we forget about the rainfall and the rain-induced flooding that a major hurricane can produce, along with all of the other problems that it produces. And Chris just talked about Cuba. In addition to the wind and the surge, they could be dealing with some extremely heavy rainfall, and so could the Cayman Islands over the next 5 days as this moves through the northwestern Caribbean and into the Gulf. It's hard to completely avoid western Cuba getting very significantly impacted, and rain-induced flooding would be one of the issues. And just to give you an idea of what could happen, not to say that this is going to be exactly right, but notice in Jamaica, I know we don't have the tropical storm watch anymore, and we're not going to get the full brunt of this system affecting Jamaica. However, if it's centered down here, say tomorrow evening, you still could have trailing rain bands coming into that mountainous island. So that is still going to pose the risk of flash floods and mudslides there. And then, of course, in the Cayman Islands, even though they're much flatter, could still get, in addition to the winds and the storm surge, the rain and the flooding. And then western Cuba, certainly at risk for that. Now, when you look at the track and intensity forecast, not only our friends in the Caribbean, but here in Florida, and then what about places downstream? How much could we be dealing with not just wind and storm surge, but flooding? Tuesday and Wednesday, Weather Prediction Center already talking about the possibility of rain-induced flooding, and that's several days out. So that's not commonly done. So that risk could go way up. And also, that cone isn't moving forward as quickly on day 4 and 5. The lines get closer together as we go into next week. And so the Euro model, the GFS model, painting a pretty dire picture about the potential for rain-induced flooding. And then beyond that, when you look at the model ensembles beyond day 5, so many of the possible solutions after Florida involve a slow-moving system somewhere over the southeastern to mid-Atlantic part of the U.S. The Appalachians could be in play for flooding from rains. Chris?
And we know, Dr. Nab, with Florida at such a point where there is a big possibility it's heading this way. A lot of people might not know exactly how to handle it. A lot of new residents to Florida in a 10-year period from 2010 to 2020. The kind of greenish blue colors here, the turquoise color, 5, 10, 20, even 40% increase in new residents here. So if you came down from, say, the Hudson Valley or from Cleveland or from Montana, it's a different deal here when we're talking about hurricanes. So what do you need to know? First thing is if you're in an evacuation zone. So go to floridadisaster.org. And once you figure out what zone you're in, then you got to figure out, when to evacuate. You evacuate when you're told to evacuate, and they'll evacuate you by zones. Say there's A, B, all the way down to E, F, L, T. For this particular area around Fort Myers, it's not just coastal areas. It's well inland in some cases. That's why there's different zones for different expectations in the forecast, different types of storm surge. That is likely why you may be asked to leave. Similar story here a little bit farther to the north. Remember, floridadisaster.org. Go there to figure out which zone that you are in. We are tracking a tropical storm Ian here on the Weather Channel. Stay with us.
Are you tired of clean clothes that just don't smell clean? What if your clothes could stay fresh for weeks? Now they can. Downy Unstoppable's in-wash scent boosters keep your laundry smelling fresh way longer than detergent alone. Pour a cap of Downy Unstoppables into your washing machine before each load. And enjoy fresher smelling laundry. If you want laundry to smell fresh for weeks, make sure you have Downy Unstoppables in-wash scent boosters.
Right now, get $15 when you bundle Tide and Downy.
I brought in Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein. Those who tried me felt more energy in just 2 weeks. Here, I'll take that.
Ensure Max Protein with 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and now with 2 new flavors.
Thank you, Nature Made, for seeing that life is a little chaotic and creating new targeted blends to help. So when our sleep, stress, and immune health are thrown off, new Nature Made Well blends can help us find balance.
Took a while to get up here. We started out around 1959.
Then we took a hard left in East Africa. A right at Baja. A 180 in the empty quarter. And that 65-degree incline at Hell's Revenge. But we didn't do all that just to get here. We did it to give you a truck that'll take you anywhere. This is the new Nissan.
If you shop with the Walmart app, you know everything you need is right at your fingertips. So you can spend a little less to get a little more to make life a little better.
You'll always remember buying your first car and buying your starter home, or whatever this is. But the things that last a lifetime, like happiness, love, and confidence, you can't buy those, but you can invest in them. We believe that your investments should work harder for the future you imagine. And that's where our strategic investing approach can help. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Trick or treat! Kit Kat Reese's!
Oh, great costume. Looks like you deserve both.
See ya, boys.
There's plenty of reasons to celebrate with Spectrum Mobile. Because now you can get the best deal in mobile. Unlimited talk, text, and data on 2 lines for just $29.99 a line. Call 833-261-2999. Switch and save up to 60% on your mobile bill. Now that's worth celebrating. Plus, enjoy nationwide 5G and the most reliable service coast to coast. Get Spectrum Mobile with unlimited for $29.99 a line. Call 833-261-2999. With Spectrum Mobile, your options are truly unlimited. And that includes no contracts, no added taxes, and no hidden fees. Choose from a variety of the latest phones, or bring your own. Join the nation's fastest growing mobile provider and get the best deal in mobile. Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $29.99, all with no contracts, no added taxes, and no hidden fees. Call 833-261-2999. Click SpectrumMobile.com or visit a store near you.
Stronger surge and stronger storms makes a stronger hurricane season. You know what else is getting stronger? The #1 most trusted TV news network, the Weather Channel. Now available for anyone to stream on the new and improved TV app. Go to streamtwc.com to start your free 7-day trial.
Currently in our area, 67 degrees under clear skies. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy. A few sprinkles possible late. Low 59. Winds west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. High 75. Chance of rain 50%. Sunday night, thunderstorms early. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. Low 61. Chance of rain 50%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Weather Channel as we track Tropical Storm Ian. Because of the significant threat that this poses, Chris, we're going to take a lot of questions because people legitimately are thinking through what they need to be doing.
And we also have to tell you, in all honesty, we don't know a lot, right? There's a lot that we just still don't know, but there's also a ton we do know.
Yeah, that we know who's at risk, and we have some ideas of what you could be doing to get ready for the potential impacts.
Right, so based on the best of science that we have right now, we'll do our best to answer your questions. Sam Miller asking, I'm not hearing much about the East Coast of South Florida. How will Ian affect us, Dr. Knabb?
Well, let's talk about that. You know, the risks for hurricane conditions there have gone down quite a bit compared to a day or two ago. But let's look at the track. And I don't want you to think in Southeast Florida that there's no way you're going to feel any impacts. I mean, there's a possibility. If it takes the right-hand side of the cone, you could get some impacts, certainly from locally heavy rainfall. You could get some gusty winds. And there are some Euro ensemble members that are close to southeast Florida. So it's not like there's zero chance of the center coming nearby. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I'll also want to point out the chances of winds of tropical storm force. In southeastern Florida, they're about 1 in 4, okay? So you can get a system that is on the Gulf Coast, Chris, and still get tropical storm conditions on the southeast coast of Florida. Now, the chances of hurricane force winds are pretty small at the moment. Now, if things trend back to the east, that could change. But right now, I would say southeast Florida potential impacts would be tropical storm conditions and maybe rain-induced flooding in spots. That's the most likely scenario right now, but don't tune out.
All right, and Dr. Knapp, Daniel Phillips wants to know, is it possible that Ian could surprise us and hit Louisiana or Texas? Thank you. Dr. Knapp, first off, you're going to handle the Louisiana or Texas question, but I want to focus for a second on the word surprise. And if you're paying attention day after day after day, there shouldn't be any big surprises, right?
Yeah, so nobody in the Gulf of Mexico should just tune out. Right? Because there can always be changes. We've seen forecast tracks have to change substantially in the past. But let's kind of put goalposts up to where we think the system is going to go. And when we look at the cone, those are not the goalposts because a system can go outside the cone. 1 out of 3 times, you'll find that the 5-day track goes somewhere out of that cone. So what does that mean for places farther to the west? Well, the Euro ensemble is farther to the east and definitely has less of a risk, but not zero risk to southeast Louisiana. So southeast Louisiana is, peripherally in play. It's not a high chance, but it's not a zero chance. But that's just the Euro ensemble. You look at the GFS, and that is a modeling system that has a lot more possibilities that are farther west. So that certainly is a clue in Louisiana to not tune out. If things were to shift farther west, your risk could go up.
So would you be surprised if in 5 days we're talking about Texas?
I would. Because we don't have any ensemble members that go that far west. We have a steering situation which is likely to bring it northward and then moving slowly. So it's a remote chance for Texas right now.
Okay, but I mean, what I'm saying is in 3 days, if it's, possibly Texas, then it's not going to be a surprise. Right? If the forecast changes
but
that
right
much.
Now, I would be surprised if it went to Texas. Okay. But if I have family in Texas, okay, and I want them watching every day for changes in the forecast in case something out of the ordinary were to happen.
All right, and Karen asking, the current cone shows a slight weakening before landfall. This is not uncommon. I've seen it before. What causes that, Dr. Knapp, is the question?
Well, it's the timing of a number of different things. I mean, it's not going to be lack of warm water, okay? That is not the problem in the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to be one of 2 things that could cause weakening before landfall, say, if it were to go to the Florida Panhandle. One would be internal structural changes that are very difficult to predict. So it could peak out down here, and then the inner eye wall collapses, the outer eye wall replaces it, and it weakens. In that case, though, it could end up being a larger hurricane. That kind of weakening isn't necessarily a good thing, okay? When major hurricanes weaken, they often just get larger, and they can produce just as much storm surge. So asking for weakening can have its bad side effects. The other thing is there could be an increase in wind shear as this is moving northward. Wind shear can let in dry air, and that could cause some weakening. But, Chris, I would say that this is likely to get so strong that if it were to go to the Florida Panhandle, the likelihood of it being a low-impact event is not very high. It would be a high-impact event one way or another.
Would you say evacuations somewhere on the Gulf Coast are pretty much a guarantee?
Somewhere on the Gulf Coast of Florida, if you consider all the way from Key West to Pensacola, yes, I think that is a very high chance of evacuations being called in the next couple of days. So pay attention to your local officials.
If you have questions, we're here to answer them, and join us on the Weather Channel's TV streaming app.
JC tried Game Flings for the first time the other day and forgot where she was. You can always spot a first-timer. Game Flings with Oxy Boost and Febreze.
Find nutrients. Find energy. Flavors. Fruit stuff. Veggie stuff. Confidence stuff. Spiky fruit. Smooth fruit. A carrot. Beet. And I cannot read this fast. Hello, people. Find it in V8. Ooh, that's nice.
Stop. mode?
Yeah.
Shh.
Don't PTA meetings end at 9?
Oh, got lost.
Wait.
The Lexus RX, built for modern families.
This is not a drill. For a limited time at Domino's, get 20% off everything at menu price when you order online. Pizza, 20% off. Specialty pizza, 20% off. Anything that's not pizza? Yep, you know the drill. Except it's not a drill. It's 20% off everything. Only at Domino's.
When moderate to severe ulcerative colitis persists, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When UC got unpredictable, I got rapid symptom relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When UC held me back, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when UC got the upper hand,
Rinvoq helped visibly repair the colon lining. Check. Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and a chance to visibly repair the colon lining. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC in check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Shingles. Some describe it as pulsing electric shocks or sharp stabbing pains. This painful blistering rash can disrupt your life for weeks. A pain so intense, you could miss out on family time. The virus that causes shingles is likely already inside of you. If you're 50 years or older, ask your doctor or pharmacist about shingles.
It's not about how fast you run. It's about how well you slow down. Corona Premier. Lower carbs, lower calories. Is your light beer Premier?
Okay, Jake from State Farm, I really want that personal price plan. Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez, I save my shrimp tails. I have a whole collection. I keep them in jars under my bed.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
She also plays piano.
Yeah.
With my feet.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies Treats. Connect on a sweeter level.
We have a brand new intermediate public advisory from the National Hurricane Center to share with you here on the Weather Channel on Tropical Storm Ian. Still a tropical storm with max winds of 45 miles per hour, but it is going to strengthen significantly tomorrow and the next day over the northwestern Caribbean. Still moving westward at 14, but it's going to bend to the right and be in the northwestern Caribbean tomorrow and into Monday. And it is remarkable how much strengthening the Hurricane Center is forecasting, but it is not surprising given the atmospheric conditions that are conducive for development and strengthening and how warm the waters are. Now, we will get a new track and intensity forecast from the Hurricane Center at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So with our ongoing coverage tonight, you're going to want to keep tabs on what we're showing and what the Hurricane Center forecast is at 11 p.m. And then look at how strong it is forecast to be over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. We're going to have a major hurricane threat approaching the state of Florida early next week. But when might you need to get ready by for tropical storm or hurricane force winds arriving? Well, for tropical storm force arriving first, it could be if they happen in Key West on Tuesday morning. If it's in the west coast of central Florida, could be Tuesday evening. So tropical storm and or hurricane watches could be issued 2 days in advance of that as soon as tomorrow. So that will be a sign that the preparations need to be ramped up even more. Now, starting at 8 Eastern, our cable viewers will be able to watch Fast Home Rescue, but we'll continue streaming live coverage of Tropical Storm Ian on the Weather Channel streaming app. You can find us on Amazon Fire, Roku, or any connected TV. Then, at 9 Eastern, Bettis and Carl Parker, more live coverage right here on the Weather Channel. So stay with us all night long.
What's up, guys? We're the Walkers.
Cool.
Sweet. In 2010, my brother Paul created an organization that assists communities after natural disasters.
Oh God, the roof! We're happy to be making another Fast and the Furious, but there are times where you got to check yourself. What's going on out there? People are without homes.
Now my wife Felicia and I,
They need a little help.
run the global response team.
Got your muscles ready?
Awesome, dude.
God bless you for having the courage to take what he started.
Let's do it. As a civil engineer and interior designer, smells like a mucking gut. I know what it takes to rebuild a home inside and out.
This is sweet.
So when extreme weather strikes,
All right, moment of truth.
we transform houses devastated by disasters.
I wasn't expecting this. It's like a whole different house. I love it.
Well, hon, here we are in Antioch, Tennessee.
They get so much rain here. I know it floods a lot here in Tennessee. In this case, here in Antioch, when it flooded, a lot of it actually came from the ground up.
There's all this flooding that occurred not too long ago. On March 27th and 28th, 2021, Antioch, Tennessee experienced historic flash flooding, causing devastating damage to many homes in the area.
Focusing in on Tennessee, you see that the reports are flood report after flood report after flood report. And the rain started Saturday evening, continued into our Sunday morning, and just would not stop here. And that is why we had such issues.
Yeah, so Roe actually was there for that.
Yes. It's really cool to be back here.
This is it.
This is it. Let's do this. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, let's go. So we're here to meet with Bernita Reed and her family. Her home was hit really hard by the storm, resulting in some of it being so water damaged that it hasn't been livable since.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
We're good. Nice to finally get to meet you guys in person.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm glad you're here. I'm Bernita Reed, and I was aware of Roe when the flood occurred. I was just totally blessed because I didn't know how I was going to get all that wet stuff out of my house.
So I want to just learn a little bit more about how that flooding happened.
I was home. My grandson at the time was living with me. This is the one who experienced it all.
Well, my name is Trey. I'm Bernita's grandson. You know, I was just at the house doing homework. You know, I was on the game. I'm not gonna lie. I was doing homework.